Hello everyone! Welcome back to The Great Ace Attorney number 2. Today, so help me, we'll finish this case. Or my name isn't... something. I don't know. But yep, we're back. Let's see how this case ends, huh? It's gonna be exciting. Let me check something real quick. I think all is good. Okay. What happened that night is written very plainly in this newspaper article. Executed criminal returned in the dead of night at local cemetery. You're suggesting it was a corpse coming back from the dead now? Well, if this article is to be believed, yes. The professor, assuming dead following his execution, emerged from his grave and was killed again.
Objection!
Don't be a fool. That's simply a rumor, published by the gutter press. Can you be certain of that? Are you serious? The point is, as the article says, there was a witness to what happened. My word, yes indeed. Mas oi, the young man who stole into the cemetery by chance that night.
Objection!
Of course there was a witness. The story didn't write itself. But obviously the man made it all up. And in any case, this was 10 years ago now. There would surely be no hope of finding them. On the contrary, my lord, we all know this witness well. What? Are you suggesting, counsel, that you've identified the person in question? That you know who claims to have seen these utterly incredible events take place? Yes, my lord. In fact, you could say that he's right here before my very eyes. You will substantiate your latest claim now then, counsel. Who was the alleged witness of the staggering scene from the cemetery 10 years ago? Alright. I kind of forgot what the plot is again. And, yeah. Maybe this guy? 10 years ago, right? I don't flippin' know. The man in question is Mr. Enoch Drebber. Drebber? The previous witness? The special exhibit in the House of Horrors at Madame Tuspel's Museum of Waxwork recreates the decade-old scene in great detail. Okay, excuse me. The condemned criminal emerging from the grave, and besides the tomb, a young man with a lantern stumbling upon the terrifying sight. And that young man is a 10-year younger Mr. Enoch Drebber. Wow. Order! Surely not, counsel. Drebber was there, in Lowgate Cemetery. What is all this talk about Mr. Drebber? Is the name significant? Of course, Madame Tuspels doesn't know, does she? Yes, it's extremely significant, madam. To your situation as well, in fact. Hey, Captain Chips, you're first. You did it. Woo! What situation? The theft of the Professor Waxwork from your museum some days ago was perpetrated by the very same man. You here, you made it. What's up? None! But that would mean... Madame Tuspels. It would appear you know the name Enoch Drebber. Oi, yes, I know it, but from long ago in the past. What? Oh my! Good gracious! We 3 minutes in and we getting spooky. I know, right? Getting spooky. It's not even Halloween. Explain yourself. Tell us everything you know. Yes, of course. The story of the young man and the terrible sight he witnessed in the cemetery 10 years ago was published in every single newspaper in London and throughout Great Britain. However, in all of the articles, the witness was simply described as a certain young man. No detail was published about his identity. His name was never revealed. That is, apart from in one newspaper. The Daily Bugle. The Daily Circus. It is the paper from which comes the article I have already shown the court. You're saying that his full name was only publicized in that article? Goodness me, yes, here it is. The university student who experienced this shocking event is a Mr. Enoch Drebber, a disciple of science at the University of London, and a resident of its student dorms. Unbelievable. Hey, Krusty! How you doing? I know, spookies. This is the spooky episode. But how you doing? It's good to see you here, too. When I read the article, I want to meet with the man. His discovery of the condemned criminal coming back to life in the cemetery in the dead of night would make a perfect exhibit for my house of horrors, whether it was the truth or not. I see. So you went to meet Mr. Drebber in order to sculpt a waxwork of the man, did you? Exactament. He was studying science at the University of London in those days. He was just a poor student. I paid him £5 to model for his waxwork, and since that time it has been in my museum to recreate the scene of terror from the cemetery. I'm good Ultima, playing a remastered Star Wars Dark Forces. Awesome. Is it good? Would Ultima like it? Would I like it? So, 10 years ago, a young man appealed to the public about an extraordinary event he'd witnessed. A criminal who had been put to death, re-emerging from his grave in the middle of the night. But the public treated his claim as nothing more than an amusing anecdote that was soon forgotten. It's pretty good. I should sometime. I'll think about it. What's it called, you said? Dark Forces? What if I have it here? Bounty Hunter, Racer, Jedi Knight, Knights, Power Battles, Commando. Nope, don't have it. Never mind. 10 years later, it's for the Switch. Oh, maybe it's not one of the games I have. Or maybe it is, I don't know. The same man who steals a waxwork model of the executed criminal ostensibly used as a body double for the victim in the case we are discussing here today. Even though the waxwork's build is a poor match for the victim, and its face is obscured by a mask. So the question is, why would the man do such a thing? Which brings us to 3 days ago, when the birdcage crashed into the Crystal Tower. If the birdcage had in fact contained not the body of Mr. Asman, but that same waxwork, the coroner from Scotland Yard who investigated Dr. Scythe would have noticed immediately. And yet, she submitted this autopsy report for the victim, which the court has seen earlier. Why? Because the waxwork was that of the professor. Is that what you're saying? Dr. Scythe put her name to a document confirming the death of a condemned criminal who was still alive, a criminal whose apparent resurrection was witnessed by Mr. Drebber. But that misconduct was a deadly secret the coroner would do anything to protect, which is precisely why Mr. Drebber used that particular waxwork as the body double. Arrgh! My lord, this court must summon Dr. Scythe to the stand. The defense is determined to find out exactly how the coroner and Mr. Drebber are connected. But according to the missive I've received this morning from the prosecutor's office, Dr. Scythe is unable to participate in these proceedings. Is that not the case? She told us so herself, didn't she? Lord Van Zeeks won't be summoning me as a witness. Lord Strongheart has forbidden it. Lord Strongheart? The Pandora's box you were warned about is the professor's case. But please don't make the mistake of thinking you'll get any information out of it of me. Is it time to open the box, guys? Something's happened on the night of that killer's execution 10 years ago, and surely nobody would want to get to the bottom of that more than Lord Zeeks. The prosecution calls for the instructions in that missive to be scrapped. But Lord Van Zeeks, the missive was issued from the Lord Chief Justice's office.
Objection!
What's in the box? Hey, Eminem, what's up? How you doing? What is in the box? The assigned prosecutor has the final say on the policy in any particular trial. In other words, me. Yes. Let Enoch Drebber and Dr. Scythe both take the stand together. Out of the box. Out of the box. Remember that show, guys? That was a good one. Order, order, order! Very well, I will uphold your request. Bailiff, send a subpoena with immediate effect, addressed to Dr. Scythe of the Forensics Investigation Team. The woman is compelled to attend on Her Majesty's orders. You feel good? I'm doing good. I'm ready for the ending of Case 3. Alright then, Enoch Drebber and Dr. Scythe. If they weren't colluding with one another, this crime could never have been committed. I'm just a stone's throw away. I can feel it. The truth behind all of this is about to come out. Was it in the box? Is that particular movie was the Gwyneth Paltrow's severed head? In that one? The Nick Cage one? Oh no, that's the put the bunny in the box. Which one's the what's in the box one? I forgot. Thank you for your attendance at such short notice, Dr. Scythe. You're gonna lurk? Alrighty. Good luck, Minim. I'm disappointed in you, Lord Van Zeeks. You've completely betrayed the agreed policy of both Scotland Yard and the prosecutor's office. Betrayal is not in my nature, as long as the truth isn't compromised. If it is, if there's even a hint of wrongdoing, then no matter whom it concerns or disgruntles, I will pursue the matter to the bitter end, as would any prosecutor worth his salt. Mr. Drebber, you took the victim's life by means of a machine that you constructed in your workshop. And Dr. Scythe, as the investigating coroner, you were the first on the scene to examine the victim's body. It is the belief of the defense that you collaborated with each other and were both complicit in this crime. And where is your evidence? At present, we have no definitive evidence, but we do have a very significant clue. What are you talking about? Brutal. What's in the box? The movie 7, starring a very young Brad Pitt. It's brutal, compelling, but brutal. I don't think you'd recommend it to me. Ah, dang. I'll just, assume that people like it and it's good or whatever and move on. Someone holding a statue head? Yes. Someone is a wax head. I'm talking, of course, about the waxwork. You know, that one. This model of the killer known as the Professor, who was sentenced to death 10 years ago. You don't need to tell me. I witnessed the man's execution with my own eyes and officially pronounced him dead. That remains to be seen. Is that so? According to the newspaper reports from the time, on the night following his execution, the killer came back to life. Tisk, don't waste my time. And the sole witness to that mysterious event, bang, was you, Mr. Drebber, wasn't it? If what you saw in the graveyard that night 10 years ago wasn't some chilling fiction, but reality, a crime thriller. Hey stars, what's up? How you doing? It's good to see you here. Hope you're doing good. It would make you privy to a very great secret of Dr. Scythe's. A secret so profound it could compel the coroner to agree to collaborate in your evil scheme, in fact. Mr. Drebber, tell the court. Tell everyone the truth of what you saw that night in Lowgate Cemetery. So he was the student who saw it? You can see the resemblance, actually, can't you? With the man in Madame Tussbell's, I mean? Surely he's not going to claim that's really what he saw, especially not after all these years. He was the research student at the University of London, wasn't he? And a bit too clever for his own good, if you ask me. Cut. You're good, home from the Ren Fair. Ooh, I hope it was good. Hope it was another good Ren Fair day. Whoa, when is our Ren Fairs, Captain Chips? Aren't they, coming up somewhat soon? Excited. What an interesting twist. When at the time, not one person would take me seriously. Yet now here we are, 10 years later, and suddenly my story matters, and in a court of law, too. Later in the summer. Gotcha. Gotcha! Nice day out. Aw, lucky. It's been cold today. Very well then, if everyone so wishes, let's be frank. I'll tell you the truth of what happened that night, for what it's worth. So, Mr. Drebber, your testimony, please, about the events of that night 10 years ago. You will tell the court exactly what you stumbled across in Lowgate Cemetery. Yes, of course, as you wish. Wasn't it earlier you was on a hike in the forest? Ooh, nice. You're gonna hike. You're still jump hunting, so that's gonna be entirely on whether or not you can afford the gas and such. Well, I can pitch in if need be. The reason I was in Lowgate Cemetery at all 10 years ago was for a spot of moonlighting, shall we say? Yes, the illustration in the newspaper article was based on what I witnessed that night. But thinking back now, I realize that I never actually saw the professor. Soon afterwards, I was visited by a young woman who sculpted a model of me from wax. Then I gave up on my dream of becoming a scientist, and it was all because of that newspaper article. Wait a minute. You're claiming that you didn't actually see the professor now? Of course, you'd have to have a screw loose if you believe a corpse could come back from the dead. But, so, you're saying this article is not worth the paper it's printed on? I think that would describe it perfectly. Ugh. If the details in the article aren't true, it nullifies your argument for why Mr. Drebber and Dr. Scythe would have been working together. So he's discrediting himself to cripple my argument. Tell me, witness, you claim to have been in the cemetery on some auxiliary business. Can you elaborate? That's right, grave robbing to be precise. As you know, Lowgate Cemetery is at the rear of Barclay Prison, so among students at the university it had a reputation for being haunted by the ghosts of condemned convicts. Grave robbing, you say? Yes, exhuming fresh corpses to sell is reasonably lucrative. Of course, I never laid a finger on any valuables buried with the dead. So you were one of the so-called resurrectionists, particularly unpleasant scourge on society. Actually, my fellows and I went by another name, the Repurposers. That is quite beyond the pale. You would invite divine retribution, sir. Yes, well, I think I suffered a retribution enough. The Daily Circus eventually unearthed my name and put it in print. It caused me a great many headaches. In the end, I had to leave the university. That was the only paper with the bad grace to identify me unambiguously, I might add. I see. Out of interest, who drew the illustration for this article? Ah, yes, that was the reporter who exposed me. He sketched that right in front of me as I described the scene. Obviously, as time ticked on, I bitterly regretted what I'd done, claiming to have seen something I never truly saw. Foolish, very foolish. Well, counsel for the defense, you may proceed to the cross-examination now. At once, my lord. The reason I was in Lowgate Cemetery at all 10 years ago was for a spot of moonlighting, shall we say? Hold it! By moonlighting, you mean grave robbing, do you? Surely you only need to look at the graveyard scene and my appearance to gauge the answer to that? The lantern and the spade. But who on earth would want to buy a dead body? Any major hospital. A hospital? In order to better understand the human body, the study of anatomy is crucial to medical science, but there isn't a hospital in the world that has enough specimens to work with, though obviously they can't openly express an interest in obtaining more by dubious means. As aspiring scientists, we young research students had no money to work with, as I'm sure you can imagine, so we made serendipitous arrangements with a hospital via some of our medical students' acquaintances. We would never take anything of value from the graves. That was all for the furtherance of science, you see. That's what we all told ourselves every time we stole into the graveyard at night, spade in hand. You realize body snatching is a serious crime. If you were caught, you could expect the gravest of consequences. We students were caught between the hammer and the anvil. We needed funds for the research. Professor Hairbrain said exactly the same. I'm quite speechless at the apparent levity with which you've revealed this abhorrent behavior. Well, if you wanted to know why I was there at Lowgate Cemetery, that's the reason. But I never expected it to end the way it did. That I regret to this day. Yes, the illustration in that newspaper article was based on what I witnessed that night. Hold it! The strange happening at Lowgate Cemetery, which you now deny. Not entirely. I ran to fetch the police at the time, you know. I was shaking like a leaf, but they didn't believe a word of it. In fact, I was very nearly arrested myself. So you went to the papers instead. I started big with the London News, but unsurprisingly, they didn't want to know either. In the end, though, it was reporters from the gossip rags, the gutter press, that came to get my story, and it spread like the plague through the capital, as gossip-hungry Londoners lapped up the tale. The story was in every single paper at the time, with the exception of some broadsheets. And yet only 2 or 3 of them actually interviewed me personally. Most of the accounts turned out to be very interpretive ghost stories. What about the article in the Daily Circus? The particular journalist found me at my dormitory. I don't know how, but he discovered my name, so I recounted to him exactly what had happened that night. And from your description, you drew this illustration? Precisely. That's how I learned that the condemned man was the infamous professor, because the reporter told me so. I had no idea myself, you see. Newspaper reporters are wont to snoop around in matters that don't concern them. So the scene portrayed in the illustration is accurate, then? Well, thinking back now, I realize that I never actually saw the professor at all, though. Hold it! What are you talking about? I think I explained already, didn't I? Lowgate Cemetery is at the rear of Barclay Prison, so it was renowned among us students at the university for being haunted by the ghosts of condemned convicts. For some absurd reason, I was scared of the graveyard at night, and as a result, only too willing to believe that nonsense about the dead coming back to life. But you said you actually saw it! I said what I'd seen in my mind's eye. After all, resurrection is impossible, isn't it? You'd have to be unhinged to think otherwise. Unless, of course, you have some evidence that proves I encountered the professor that night? I don't know. Is there any material evidence that could show he really did see the professor? If we have anything at all, Mr. Naruhodo, I know I need to present it against that irritatingly backtracked statement of his. The point is, that night was a pivotal moment in my life. Question, Captain Chips, do I have evidence at this point? Or no? Do I have a lick of evidence at all? Maybe the 10-year-old Statement 3. Aha, so I do have evidence. Which group of items has it? Yeah, I don't even know what we're proving at this point, to be honest. I don't know what we're proving at the moment. 3rd page? Alright, well, that'll make things easy. Let's save the game real quick. How about the newspaper?
Objection!
Okay, it's the newspaper. For some reason. Sorry, Mr. Drebber, but I don't believe that. Don't believe what? Your latest claim. You did see the professor on that night 10 years ago. Oh dear, we seem to be at odds, but I was there, and you were not. I know what I didn't see. That illustration with this article was drawn based upon what you told the journalist that you witnessed. A figure emerging from a tomb, wearing an iron mask. Yes, when the killer was tried 10 years ago. It was decided in the closed court's ruling that the man would wear the mask to hide his identity. It wasn't to be removed even during his execution and subsequent burial. Not even the prison wardens were to see the man's face, but obviously the provision of this mask was not public knowledge. So Mr. Drebber, as you just heard, a lowly student of the University of London certainly wouldn't have known about the condemned man's mask. So unless you'd actually seen the professor that night, it's inconceivable that the artist would have included the mask in that illustration. Arg. Fudge. Order, order! Well, Mr. Drebber? It's a vile scene, isn't it, if you look closely? And as I've already been at pains to point out, I was utterly petrified, which is why I had it in my head that I'd seen a blood-curdling sight. But afterwards, I came to my senses and realized that I'd been mistaken. You're still saying that you didn't see it? If you're stubbornly sticking to that story, witness, then amend your testimony to explain exactly how you think your eyes deceive you. Of course, only too happy to oblige. I can't believe he's still not going to concede the point. What I in fact witnessed was a fellow grave robber at work.
Hold it!
Oh, sheeshish. I know. A fellow grave robber? What are you talking about? Well, I wasn't the only one busy in the cemetery that night. You know, other body snatchers were at work. Of course, when I saw one emerging from the hole he dug, my heart very nearly stopped. So that's the terrifying sight I actually saw, you see? You're claiming that it was just another student on an equally inside business as well? As yourself? Many of the medical students would wear a metal mask to protect them from bacteria during dissections. Clearly, the fellow was using such a mask to protect his anonymity, wouldn't you say?
Objection!
But there's more to this story, isn't there? The article goes on to say, in the next second, a gunshot rang out suddenly from behind. A bullet pierced the resurrected man's chest, whose breaths then stilled once more. We might assume that the sexton discovered the miscreants at work perhaps, and then fired upon one of them. If a gravedigger had shot someone in the cemetery, I think it might have been rather big news, my lord. Ah, yes, well, I can only assume it was an embellishment boiled on later by the reporter. Well, someone's upset.
Excuse me!
Madam Tuspells, don't take it out on the Mr. Sholmes. Oh la la, pardon. I was lost in my thoughts. Would it be fair to say that Mr. Drebber's last remark was significant to you in some way? I thought it was a little strange, that is all, how Monsieur Drebber could claim this now. If you don't mind me saying, madam, what are you talking about? Well, when I met you 10 years ago at your university dormitory, you recounted to me about your adventures in the cemetery, none? Including the gunshot. Stop. You might want to watch your tongue, you know.
Objection!
Have a care, Drebber. That's no way to speak to a lady. Grr. Please, Madam Tuspells, carry on. Of course. According to what Monsieur Drebber told me at the time, he did hear a gunshot from behind him, and the bullet hit the condemned man. I said nothing of the sort. None. You were very explicit about the details, about the mask that the figure was wearing, and the blood that spattered all over you when he was shot. Enough. Shut up, woman. You're making all this up. That will do. Mr. Drebber? Yes. You refute the account just given by Madame Tuspels? I have no recollection of ever saying those things. Come on, do you really expect us to believe you? Control yourself, counsel. I will not permit baseless accusations in my courtroom. Right. Under the circumstances, I think it's best that you supplement your testimony with a statement to clarify your position on this witness. Very well. Crazy, I know. There was no gunshot from behind me at all, nor any spattering blood. Hold it! Yet Madame Tuspels had testified that you told her about both of these details. Not true. I said nothing of the sort. 10 years will have passed. Without material evidence to the contrary, you have no grounds on which to question the witness's word. Ag! Tell me, Madame Tuspels. Oi? What exactly did Mr. Drebber say about the blood that apparently splattered on him? Alors, that is what he told me. All of a sudden, he heard a very loud gunshot from behind his back. The bullet hit the figure who was emerging from the tomb in the middle of the chest, in his heart. One dreadful sight after another. And since Monsieur Drebber was at the time facing towards the condemned man, the blood sprayed from the wound and splattered on his body. That is what he told me. So, not an experience you would ever forget, is it? Precisely, and I didn't forget it, because, as I've already said, it never happened in the first place. He's clearly lying. Only I had some evidence to prove it. You can't let him win, Mr. Naruhodo, so we mustn't overlook a single detail, no matter how small. Alright. Do I need to submit evidence here, Captain Chips? Normally when they say, I gotta present evidence, that's when you present evidence. Normally. Alright. Stretch time. Fudge. Is Captain Chips still here? Captain Chips! The worst part is, guys, is I forgot to turn the guide on. Say it again. Yo. Do I submit evidence at this part here? Cats have been driving you nuts? Oh no. Not the kitty cats. Nope. Do I keep pressing then? Do I press statements? The last two statements? Do I press anything at all? Is the better question here. Pressing rather. Hold it! That young woman by being Madame Tuspels, of course. Precisely. I must say, I didn't expect to run into her again like this 10 years later. As I have explained, I went by the name published in the article, and I found the man. Yes, the article in the Daily Circus, I think you said. I was a poor student with barely a penny to my name at the time. And the young lady put £5 in front of me. So you readily consented to having a waxwork of yourself made, and gave permission for it to be put on display. I did. I should sell what little I had to sell, I concluded. Ah, oi, I remember now. I purchased something else from you that day, Nancy's Biz. Did you? I can't say I remember. What was it, madam? His camera. Ah. Oh yes, I made a point of taking it with me wherever I made an excursion into any cemetery. You took a camera with you, sir? To what end? To record the details of the bodies I disinterred. But I had no intention of ever visiting a grave again after that night, so I sold it. I see. But I still have it, monsieur. It is part of the special exhibit in my House of Horrors. I'm very meticulous about such details. It is the Tuspel's way. It would seem, then, that this is the very camera that Mr. Drebber took with him to Lowgate Cemetery on the night in question. Yes, interesting. Alright, now do I present the thing at Statement 4?
Hold it!
This article, you mean? Trying to publish in the Daily Circus? Yes, somebody informed the dean that it was in my name. It was my name that appeared in the article. And careless let slip that night after night. I was digging up graves, hardly a model student, you might say. The university's reputation was defiled, and I was expelled as a result. Ah, darn it, I pressed accidentally. Mon Dieu, I had no idea. And having been run out of university, you found employment in some somewhat specialist trade. You combine your knowledge of science with knowledge of stage magic to create various experimental machines intended to demonstrate never-before-seen technology. Then you use those deception machines to trick the government and private investigators into giving you money. Professor Albert Harebrain was just your latest victim, wasn't he? Whatever are you talking about? I have no recollection of doing anything of the sort. What's Drebber up to? Why would he suddenly change his tune and rescind his claim? Wonder if perhaps it's because the circumstances have changed now. What circumstances? Well, if he admits to having seen the professor emerging alive from the grave 10 years ago, suppose a secret in Dr. Sight's best she would never hide. Of course, the Drebber and Dr. Sight were together now. Drebber were the betrayer, there was no need for her to cooperate. In that case, there's only one way around it, to prove he really did see it. He did see the professor's corpse coming back from the dead, he claimed. Yes, Mr. Naruhodo, exactly. Whoops. Alright, save the game. And I'll assume it's the camera that was just updated.
Objection!
Mr. Drebber, do you remember this camera? But that is the camera from the fateful night. Yes, we borrowed it from the House of Horrors. It's the camera you took with you to the cemetery that night, Mr. Drebber. And is that supposed to be significant? This kind of camera is rarely seen in our homeland, so my colleagues and I were keen to examine it closely. We noticed that the lens extended forward on the mouth of the end of some bellows. Like this.
Hold it!
What's that? There, just on the bellows. It looks like a dark red stain. Ah. That's right. It's a rather conspicuous mark here on the bellows, in fact. Good lord, are you suggesting? Yes, my lord. It would appear to be a spatter of blood. Something that could be confirmed with a simple chemical test. Isn't that right, Dr. Scythe? It would be difficult to determine if it was human blood, and not the blood of some animal. But yes, to test whether or not it's blood at all is simple enough. I propose that Madame Tuspel's testimony was correct, and that on the night in question 10 years ago, you were spattered with blood from the gunshot wound. Well, and that furthermore, you really did witness the condemned professor emerging from his tomb. Grr, gah. There's simply no way you could have forgotten such a traumatic experience. In other words, the only explanation is that you're trying to hide the fact that you saw the professor that night.
Objection!
Hey Blue Thunder, how you doing? How's your day going today? But why? Why would he want to do that? Well, not for his own gain, it would seem. For whose then? Who could benefit? Mr. Drebber is obviously lying in order to protect somebody. My goodness, he's shielding someone? Ow. Yes, my lord, and clearly, It's someone who doesn't want the truth about the professor coming back to life to be exposed. Well, Counsel, who is it then? Who is the witness trying to protect by lying about what he saw that night? I'm doing good, Blue Thunder. All's well here. I'm gonna finish this case today, and I think it's her.
Take that!
The obvious answer is Dr. Scythe. Scythe? Whatever do you mean? That's good. Oh yeah. We're gonna do it. Do you think we can, Blue Thunder? Can we finish case 3? Imagine if the convict who'd been sentenced to death was not in fact killed. Imagine if that was to come to light. What are you insinuating? And imagine if the convict in question was the country's most hated mass murderer. If it was the professor, that would be an unappreciated scandal. Isn't that how that one mafioso, wasn't that one of his deaths in JoJo?
Objection!
Operated on while being alive. This is beyond a joke. Need I point out that the dead cannot come back to life? What you're suggesting would mean that the execution never actually happened. Yes, exactly. Well, that's exactly what it would mean. I can. Thanks for believing in me. Once a man is sent to the gallows, he hangs. No one could escape, not in Great Britain.
Objection!
But in fact there was a witness to the fact that the man didn't escape his hanging. That were really true, Counsel. The implications of misconduct would not stop at the supervising coroner. It would taint the honor of the entire judiciary from the ground up. And it's exactly because of those monumental repercussions that Dr. Scythe would consent to the demand made of her by someone who threatened to expose the secret, even if it meant being complicit in a crime. Yes, I mean that Dr. Scythe was collaborating in Mr. Drebber's wicked scheme. Diavolo canonically went through every possible death because Golden Wind Requiem is just kinda nuts like that. Oh yeah, Golden Wind Requiem is mental. She was coerced into collaborating in order to protect her decade-old secret. She switched the dead body of Mr. Asman with the waxwork model and fabricated the autopsy report. Ah! Lord Van Zeeks. Pray forgive my freshly filled hallowed chalice, and a whole raft of other discourtesies now. Goodness me! It's just the sort of tall tale Londoners would enjoy, I grant you. An executed killer rising from the dead, a Scotland Yard cover-up, a conspiracy at the highest levels. Eek! I know, right? Canonically the most powerful stand of the series, so when you see part 7, you will see what that statement is kinda nuts. Oh boy. Hopefully that day will come soon, huh? Let me ask you one thing. What's that? If the condemned man really did emerge from this tomb that night only to be shot in the chest, who pulled the trigger and disposed of him forever? Oh, well, I have no idea at the moment. You have too little information to work that out at present, I think. I couldn't agree more. The Old Bailey is no place for wild fantasies. Ugh. And have you considered this, my learned Nipponese friend? Considered what? Do you realize just what a dangerous endeavor it would be to coerce this woman into such a criminal activity? Activity is tantamount to declaring a war on the entire British police force and judiciary. Quite. Hard to imagine any sum of money being offered for research could warrant it. To rely on some stage deception when so much is at stake would be madness. I've been geeking about that for weeks. You have to say this: if one of the ending themes to JoJo Part 7 isn't set to the song Lateralis by Tool, you will be pissed. Here's hoping. Keep the fingers crossed for that to happen. Well, I suppose. And this was no petty crime either. The victim was murdered. A man who already investigated money on the venture, invested money, and would be instrumental in future profits too. Yes, I had no reason to kill Mr. Asman at all. Or are you forgetting that his death results in me receiving not a single penny? Ride the spiral. Ride the spiral. I don't think that's how it goes. The court is already aware of the contract between myself and the victim. No. There is the contract, that's very true. The motive for this case runs deep, though. I can feel it. Using threats to force the hand of the forensics investigation team to cooperate is extreme, especially for a government grant that has no guarantee of receiving in the first place. The research grant was to aim taking Mr. Asman's life. Would have made no sense anyway, which means Mr. Drebber's motive wasn't money at all. He was just trying to kill Mr. Asman. But why? What was his motive then? Your time is up, my learned friend. I'd say you have one last chance before the jury lose their patience with this charade. Let's see if you can back up your heady proposal, shall we? How would you explain why this engineer who would throw all caution to the wind and threaten his own country? At this point, I'm not prepared to listen to more of this outlandish conjecture without proof. So, counsel, present your evidence. Alright, who exactly was Mr. Asman to Drebber? There's a connection there that no one's seen yet, and I'm going to have to present two pieces of evidence to show what it is. Hey, Mafia! How you doing? It's good to see you here again. So, Mafia, I'm gonna catch you up on... How many cases have we done since you were here last? Like, a lot. So first off, you know what, no, it might take too long. It might take an entire stream. But it's good to see you, though. The evidence that establishes the motive and explains why the witness wanted the victim dead is right here. Yeah, I need clue captainships. My memories of this case, compared to last time, are gone. This will be the third time we presented this particular piece of evidence. Okay, that could be anything. Which page? Little sleepy since you did a lot of walking today. Walking. A lot of walking. Is it this again? The 10-year-old thingy?
Take that!
It's this newspaper article, my lord. That was written 10 years ago, and every detail has been examined already. What can it possibly tell us? Have you seen this yet, Mafia babe? This person? I'm trying to wonder, like, how long it's been since you were last here. I think you last saw the second case of the first game. Second page, second pieces, you don't think one we've used, but it relates to Drebber. What can it tell us? That drivel should never have been written. It's typical gutter press nonsense. It means nothing. Yes, on its own it isn't particularly significant. However, when considered alongside another piece of evidence, it will completely explain your motive for wanting Mr. Asman dead. What other evidence? Counsel, you will present your supplementary evidence without delay. The evidence which will, when cross-referenced with the newspaper article, establishes a motive for the deed. Alright, which, page is this one on, Captain Chips? Remember the worst case from this game? Oh, the other game. We're on game number 2 now, Mafia. We're on a whole different game now. Hee. So you haven't seen the jury yet, or the new prosecutor, or anything. Oh my gosh. Oh, by the way, Mafia, you know how 3 again? You know how that one person, Kazuma, died in the second case? He might not be dead after all. Alright, it's one of these two, apparently. I saved it, right?
Take that!
Maybe this one? It's this contract, my lord. Mr. Drebber, this is the contract you signed with Mr. Asman. Yes, that's right. The very document, in fact. That proves I had no reason to kill this man. Uh-oh? Yeah, kind of an uh-oh. It's an uh-oh because that means the second case in that game was pointless. No reason to kill the man. No, I'm afraid not. What? There's something very significant that this newspaper article has contract and the contract have in common. Really? And it's that common link that shows very clearly why you were determined to kill Mr. Odie Asman. It seems the defense has uncovered something the rest of us have missed. Also, Mafia, he might be right there. Kazuma. The one, next to Van Zeek's there. So, my learned friend, point out what these two pieces of evidence have in common. Where exactly is this link between the newspaper article and the contract? Do you know where, Captain Chips? I am so unbelievably lost right now with what's going on at the moment. You're okay? You're okay. Hell yeah. Where should I do it? Look at both documents? Where in both documents should I look? Also, hello, Astro Dude, what's up? So there's the first one, looking at it. Vester Mr. Odie Asman hereby enters contract with the provider in October. Fund labor and materials for the construction of a machine. Third percentage. May only uphold the rights that the both contracting parties are alive. The signature, you said? Yeah, sorry, sorry, Astro Dude. I wasn't sure where I was looking.
Take that!
What these two pieces of evidence have in common is a signature. A signature? Signature on the illustration that accompanies the 10-year-old article and the signature on the contract belong to the same person. What? As the court has heard, this illustration was drawn 10 years ago by the newspaper art reporter who found Mr. Drebber and interviewed him about his ordeal. If you look closely, the reporter's signature can be seen in the bottom right corner of the drawing. And if you look at the contract here, which was signed between the witness and the victim last year, you can clearly see Mr. Asman's signature at the bottom. Let me see now. Good lord, yes, they're identical. In short, the journalist who drew the illustration and wrote the article published about Mr. Drebber 10 years ago was the victim of this case, Mr. Odie Asman.
Objection!
But explain to the court why. Why would that constitute a motive for the witness to murder Asman? Well, if you think back, you'll remember that Mr. Drebber was talked about that article in his testimony. Good grave robbing, you say? Yes, exhuming fresh corpses to sell is reasonably lucrative. That is quite beyond the pale. You would invite divine retribution, sir? Yes, well, I think I suffered retribution enough. The Daily Circus eventually unearthed my name and put it in print. It caused me a great many headaches. In the end, I had to leave the university. That was the only paper with the bad grades to identify me unambiguously, I might add. Then I gave up on my dream of becoming a scientist. It was all because of that newspaper article. At the time, you were a student of the University of London who dreamt of becoming a scientist. However, this single newspaper article changed your entire life. So Mr. Asman used to be a newspaper journalist, did he? He did, my lord. In fact, it's a widely held belief that Asman managed to position himself at the heart of his criminal network, and thanks to the many dubious connections that he made during his time as reporter. Why is he just standing there, man behind Van Zeek's? He's the assistant. You know how we always have an assistant with us? This time the prosecution has one too. So you had to give up on your dream and leave university You lost everything. Eventually, you found yourself working in the field of science, but only in the shadows. And all because of that article written by Mr. Asman. Enough. Stop this endless drivel about my life. What? Explain yourself, Mr. Drebber. Yes, it's true. I had to leave the university as a result of that article. But it was just the straw that broke the camel's back. What do you mean? Almost every student of science in that faculty was too poor to actually conduct any research, but they struggled on with their hypothesis anyway. We all did, only to have them taken by vultures. Actual live vultures. Hello, Hedgewolf. How are you doing? It's good to see you. Sorry I missed your messages before. How are you doing, Hedgewolf? It's good to see you here. Hope all is well. Sooner or later, you know your ideas would be stolen and painted by some wretch or another after all. Good gracious! Making a name for yourself as a scientist in a climate like that was the miracle only a select few geniuses could ever hope to achieve. Personally, I wasn't one of those geniuses, so it was hardly a wrench. Being forced out of the university because of Lowgate was the best thing that could have happened to me.
Objection!
Doing good? Heck yeah, good to hear. Mr. Drebber, do you genuinely believe that? Of course I do. Who's better placed to know whether or not I possess a talent for science than me? I'm sorry to say that your words don't ring true at all. How dare you? And I have evidence to prove it. How are you in the position to say anything about me? I don't know you from Adam. Fine, if you think you have evidence, go ahead, show it. What could you possibly have to disprove the idea that I was happy to leave the university because I lack talent? Alright, which page do I look at for this one? What if it's this one again? It's always the 10-year-old article, forever and ever and ever. But yeah, page 1, page 2, or page 3? 2? Okay. Lots of choices. It's not. It should be 1. Alright, is it on the left side or the right side? Whatever this is. Is it 2? Is it 2? He's right, it's page 2, you miscounted. Alright, is it on the left or right? Left or right side? I have no idea, guys. I don't know what I'm looking for. The right side? Camera, science trophy, maybe this trophy?
Take that!
Okay, it's the trophy. You're proving that Drebber was actually good at science. Alright. Yeah, I need it spelled out in plain English a bit better for me. So, thank you. Do you remember this, Mr. Drebber? We found it at your workshop. Is that a Royal Society trophy for excellence in science? What exactly is this trophy, Council? It's the greatest honor that can be bestowed on a young scientist, my lord. There is no higher accolade. It recognizes emerging talent and promises a bright future. Good gracious! Your prospects for the future were excellent, weren't they, Mr. Drebber? Because even then you were a genius in your field. But you lost everything. You had no more future. Your talents would go to waste. All as a result of this one newspaper article. I don't know when you realized who Mr. Asman was, but when it dawned on you that he was the same journalist who 10 years ago ruined your life, it's abundantly clear that you had no intention of forgiving that man. The truth is... Finally, he's going to fold. Of course. Not done yet. Fine. Clearly this has run its course now. What? I admit it. All of it. What? What are you doing? It's exactly as the Japanese man said. I was coerced into going along with this man's plot to murder the victim, on the condition that he kept my dirty secret from 10 years ago. No. Good Lord! Dr. Scythe, do you realize what you're saying, woman? It's all true. That day, when I arrived at the Crystal Tower and saw the birdcage, my heart nearly stopped beating. Did we just win, guys? That memory from a decade ago that I'd done my best to bury deep inside of myself was the professor again staring me in the face. And then, before I had a chance to react, I noticed something else. There was a note tucked inside the model's jacket. Dr. Scythe, you will go along with my plan, from someone who knows the truth about what really happened that night, 10 years ago. All the instructions were there in the note. Every detail was meticulously written out. I had no choice but to do what it said. I made the necessary alterations to the scene and fabricated the autopsy report as instructed. There was really no other choice. It had to be done to protect the judiciary. I can only apologize now. Well, case 3 over, guys. Can you give us all a round of applause? Woo! Why on earth would you buckle now? Not quite done yet. Yeah, I had a feeling. I had a feeling this was too easy. Well, there's no point in trying to hide it anymore, is there? I would have done anything to stop it coming out, even collaborate in a murder. But the great lie about that execution 10 years ago has been exposed. Whatever happens, I'm finished. So then, Mr. Drebber, what do you say to that? Your accomplice has admitted everything. Surely it goes without saying. You admit your part in it too, then? I admit nothing. At all. What? Have you forgotten that the kinesis machine was ripped to shreds by an explosion? Short of me admitting to a crime, there's really no possible way for you to prove I did anything wrong. No! Order, order, order! Whatever this man says, I admit everything. He threatened to expose my secret, so I went along with his plan. And Lord Van Zeeks? Yes. I hope you'll accept my apologies. What happens next is in your hands, of course. I have heard more than enough now. I hereby present the final findings of this court. This trial is not the proper forum in which to pursue the alleged wrongdoings of Mr. Drebber. The defendant is Professor Albert Harebrain. Very true. It had slipped my mind. Isn't he one of your closest friends? As the court has heard, Dr. Scythe has admitted to the allegations brought by the defense, thereby absolving the defendant of any possible guilt. You mean... At the present time, it is the conclusion of this court that the defendant was not involved in any wrongdoing. Does the prosecution have any objection? I'm a sleepy. Aw, good night, Mafia. I'll see you hopefully tomorrow. Be awesome, alright? Have a good night's sleeps. None, my lord. Oh, congratulations, Mr. Naruhodo. You've proven Professor Harebrain's innocence. Without further ado, then, the adjudication. Unless the prosecution or defense have any other matters to discuss. don't know. This doesn't feel quite right. Why did Dr. Scythe suddenly admit to it like that? Is everything alright, Mr. Naruhodo? Like you said before, the way the trial is set to end now, the judge will certainly deliver a verdict of not guilty. But is that really what we want? What the defense should be pushing for now is... time to save the game. What should I choose, guys? I don't even know what immediate adjudication means. Or further testimony. I don't even know what that word is. Obviously further testimony? Well, not obviously. If it was obviously, I would know the answer. Dude, just take the win. Take the W. No, I think we gotta do it. More better-er. More better-ers.
Objection!
The defense objects to the trial ending at this time, my lord. I beg your pardon? We demand one final testimony. What? What? You do realize I'm about to adjudicate in favor of your client, I presume? What are you playing at now, my Nipponese friend? Why would you want to obstruct the conclusion of the trial at this point? No defense lawyer in his right mind would do that. Mr. Naruhodo, what exactly are you thinking? The truth, the whole truth, and a way to bring it all out into the open. Right. Adjudication, the act of a court in making an order, judgment, or decree. A judicial decision or sentence. Dictionary.com. Is there... Can you, like, explain it? Astro Dude, like you're speaking to a toddler? And go even stupider, because I'm still confused. I'm very, very unsmart. Basically, the verdict, so the choice was actually the verdict or more testimony. Why use these big words? When I'm president, I'm getting rid of all big words. Ah, yes, one word of warning before I go. If in the course of a trial this afternoon you perceive even a shadow of doubt about the truth, don't let it out of your sight. Pursue it like a dog with a bone. To the bitter end, you understand. Do not falter, whatever may come to pass. Thank you for the explanation, by the way, Astro Dude. I'm sure Mr. Sholmes knew. He must have deduced that this would happen. Bang. Yes, I'm here in court to advocate for my client, and to secure an acquittal. Obviously. But that's not all. I believe that I have a duty to the court, to pursue the whole truth of this case until every last detail is laid bare. And that is why the defense calls for further testimony from Dr. Scythe. Testimony from me? About what? Bang. About the nature of your collaboration with Mr. Enoch Drebber. Huh, in case it's escaped your attention, I've already admitted to everything I did. The whole truth has already been revealed, so stop wasting everyone's time. Ag! As his lordship made very plain, your client will get the acquittal you wanted for him. There's simply no point protracting this business further with another tedious cross-examination.
Objection!
Pray forgive my careless handling of that hollowed bottle. I slipped. That's what you call it? What is your objection, Lord Van Zeeks? The prosecution also calls for supplementary testimony from the witness. Don't be stupid! If there is more to this case than has yet come to light, then I will join my learned friend in pursuing the facts until the bitter end. You'll what? Lord Van Zeeks. This is most irregular, to say the least. However, as the prosecution also calls for it, I will uphold the request. Dr. Scythe, you will testify for the court, explaining the full extent of your involvement in the murder apparently committed by Mr. Drebber. Very well. Here we go! It all began at the scene where I saw the waxwork and the note tucked inside the jacket. The actual body of the victim, as indicated in the note's instructions, was beneath the experimentation stage. The body had to be arranged in certain ways to implicate the defendant, which was my job. I enlisted the help of the entire forensics investigation team to dress the scene properly. The truth about the execution 10 years ago is a state of secret of the highest level. I had to protect it. Okay. So I was right. The stage and the machine were all specially designed for the deception. So it seems, and all meticulously prepared, you did well to see through it. You're a very shrewd boy. So kind of you to say. And what about this autopsy report then? All I did was record the location of the body as being in the crystal tower, instead of under the stage. That's all? That's a terrible corruption. Only my team were aware of the deceit, and then only under my explicit instructions. Nobody else at Scotland Yard knew anything about it, I assure you. We must be thankful for small mercies, I suppose. Well, I believe that testimony has clarified everything. There's no particular need for a cross-examination, I would say. No, I disagree. I can't shake the feeling that something's wrong. Just look at the expression on Dr. Scythe's face. It's the defense's right to cross-examine any witness following testimony. Tisk, what is it about you Japanese that makes you all so dodgily persistent? Very well. If you so desire, counsel, proceed with the cross-examination. Yes, my lord. It all began as the scene where I saw the waxwork and the note tucked inside the jacket.
Hold it!
From what you described before, it sounds like the note was anonymous. Do you have any idea of who was behind it? There are very few people in the know about what really happened 10 years ago to start with. But anyway, I never heard of this engineer. So no, I had no idea. Yet despite not knowing who was behind the plan, you went along with it? I had no choice. Protecting the professor's secret was my only concern. But the horse has bolted now, and the stable door will never shut again. Scotland Yard's reputation will be immeasurably damaged as a result of all this. Yes, thank you, Lord Van Zeeks. I'm well aware of that. So as I understand it, what you found in the birdcage was the waxwork model. Where then was the victim's body? Fell down in the pit. The actual body of the victim, as indicated in the note's instructions, was beneath the experimentation stage.
Hold it!
So you knew about the special construction of the stage used to carry out the trick then? It was quite obvious what had happened with the victim and the waxwork. And you switched the two over, didn't you? In other words, you recorded the victim's body as having been discovered in the crystal tower, and the waxwork? I wrapped it and sent it by carriage to the specified address at the specified time. And why were you given such directions? Presumably so it could be recovered by Drebber and returned to Madame Tuspel's. I see. And then you put the birdcage back on the experimentation stage? Yes, although someone obviously made the mistake about which cage should go where. I thought I'd made it perfectly clear to the team, but still, I suppose you were focused on the victim's body. That became a more important detail. The body had to be arranged in a certain ways to implicate the defendant in the dark. When you say arranged, I presume you mean with this? Yes, the instructions in the engineer's note said something about along the lines of fabricate some evidence to make it clear that Hairbrain alone could have killed Asmund. So, you mean that was your doing? I fetched Hairbrain's ridiculous screwdriver from the stage and took it with me, alone, to the abyss under the stage where the birdcage had fallen. Alone, Doctor? I didn't feel it would be appropriate to involve anybody else in that particular part of the deception. There was a void under the stage where I found the birdcage lying in the dirt. approached it, leaned down, and slowly opened it up. Then, I took the screwdriver in both hands and plunged it into the man's chest. Well, case over. We did it. And then you noted that in your fake autopsy report as a fictitious cause of death. Exactly. So, the actual cause of death was the trauma resulting from the 30-foot drop. My word! What is it, Mr. Sato? Something about Dr. Scythe's last statement is playing on my mind, that's all. Yes, mine too. Dr. Scythe? There's really no need to shout. I can hear you perfectly well. The defense calls for you to add what you just said to your formal testimony. Oh? Which part? What I want her to supplement your testimony with is... Yeah, what's the one here, guys? What's the right one here? The real cause of death or what she did to the victim? What she did. Okay. Thank you. How you stabbed Mr. Asmund in the chest, that part. Fine, if that's what you want, but there's really no need to point. The prosecution concurs. Very well, you will supplement your testimony now, witness. If you wish, my lord. Is it a present time, guys? I stood over the victim's corpse where it lay in the toppled cage and plunged the screwdriver into the chest. Prosecution concurs, there is no need to point. As he says, pointing. The screwdriver. Well, guess what? The screwdriver!
Objection!
Good game, gotta go to bed now. Good night, Madame. I'll see you tomorrow, hopefully. Have a awesome night. Yeah, is it evidence time, Captain Chips? Or do I press more? Present? Alright. It's obviously not the screwdriver, so which section is it on this time around? First page. Well, it's one of these 7, one of these 6. This maybe?
Objection!
Okay. It's one of these 5. Newspaper, this wouldn't make sense. Crossbow, experiment thing. This may be the photograph?
Objection!
Okay. Going on down the line. I've got a nasty feeling that this inconsistency points to an extremely uncomfortable truth. What on earth is the matter? Counsel, have you lost your tongue? I apologize, my lord. Dr. Scythe, in that last statement of yours, there's just one point that seems to defy explanation. Out with it, my learned friend. There's an obvious inconsistency between your description and the photograph, which shows the victim in the birdcage following the events that led to his death. Just save the game real quick.
Objection!
The court has already examined that photograph in depth. There's nothing new we can learn from it. Yes, we have already considered it, that's true. But we now know the facts to be different. What do you mean? I believe we should let the defense explain. Where in the photograph would we see the alleged inconsistency with the witness's statement? The glass here, maybe? Because the glass is from the big building place. Show where he was stabbed. Oh. This is why I need help, because I just don't get it.
Take that!
Look closely at the bloodstain on the victim's chest. It clearly extends in a downwards direction towards the man's feet. And why is that significant, Counsel? The victim was stabbed moments before the kinesis machine was set in motion. That's entirely expected. Ah, of course. No, that's not what happened. Exactly, my lord. Dr. Scythe made it very clear in her testimony just now at the point in which she stole Professor Harebrain's screwdriver and stabbed the victim was after the grand deception was set in motion, when the birdcage had fallen below the stage out of sight. From the shape of it, it's clear that the birdcage would have fallen on its side after a 30-foot drop, and if the victim had really been stabbed whilst inside the birdcage in that position, the blood from the wound would have spread out equally in all directions. For it to have formed the longitudinal appearance we see in the picture is inconceivable. Given that the victim's blood seeped vertically downward from the wound, it must be the case when you stabbed Mr. Asman. He was standing up. In short, Dr. Scythe, your latest testimony was a total fabrication. Arg! Arg! I knew it. I was right. Now I've identified that contradiction. There's only one way to explain the facts. We're all been under the great misapprehension here. What? What sort of misapprehension or whatever? Dr. Scythe? You claim you were coerced into helping Mr. Drebber as a result of the note he left in the waxwork. You claim that you made changes to the scene of the crime to implicate the defendant, and you claim that you authored a fake autopsy report to cover your tracks. But one of those claims is an out-and-out lie, because the question of what the bloodstain really tells us has only one possible answer. If that is the case, what is it, man? Counsel, you've clearly struck upon a revelation. I'll tell the court what it is. Which part of Dr. Scythe's story is shown to be a lie by the contradiction in her testimony? Yeah, no idea, guys. No idea at this point. I am so lost with this case. It's amazing. How she stabbed? How she stabbed. The answer is very simple if you consider the sequence of events. If, when the victim was stabbed, the blood from the wound seeped downwards as it did, we can be sure that the victim must have been either sitting or standing upright at the time. But as you rightly pointed out, the birdcage would have fallen on its side when it fell beneath the stage. Yes, it would, which tells us that the victim must have been in that position of his own accord.
Objection!
That's impossible. The man was dead, remember? No, that is the misapprehension. When the birdcage fell from the stage into the void below, it must have hit the ground with considerable force. But Mr. Asman didn't die in the fall. He probably lost consciousness for a while, but when he came round, he got to his feet to climb out of the cage. Just as Dr. Scythe appeared. Nice, so she is the murderer. That the victim was in fact alive at that point in time, it changes everything. So the robot man is innocent, more or less. Mr. Odie Esmond's killer wasn't the defendant Professor Albert Harebrain, nor was it the mastermind behind the stage trickery, Mr. Enoch Drebber. It was you, Dr. Courtney Scythe. Grrr. Arg! Order! Can this possibly be true? Have you been taking me for a fool? It was you, was it? You killed him? You hope that by admitting to being an accomplice in Mr. Drebber's scheme, the trial would end before you were accused of a far worse crime. Cold-blooded murder. Well, of murder, but not of many others. Yep. Oh, do shut up. You're so desperate now, you're making all this up. As if I would do something like that.
Objection!
I assure you, the defense is not desperate, Doctor. Mr. Naruhodo has established the facts using evidence and logic alone. Ha, logic? Don't make me laugh. Sadly, your logic has a gaping hole in it. What? What do you mean? Tisk, I have thought it was obvious. A motive, boy. You're lacking motive. What possible reason would I have to kill Mr. Asman? Asman was involved in any number of criminal activities, from coercion to theft to murder. But that there is no known connection to Dr. Scythe here. Duh. Bear in mind, Drebber is still clearly wanted for the man dead, so Drebber is much on the hook for this. Yeah. He's still screwed, but not as screwed? I'm rather relieved to say it does seem somewhat far-fetched. True, there's no obvious motive, but there's still something in the back of my mind. I feel like I've seen something somewhere that hints at why the coroner might have done this. Yes, I might have tampered with the crime scene and concocted a fake report, but the murdering someone for no reason is a very different story. No, when you question what possible reason you could have for wanting to kill Mr. Asman, something did come to mind. What? What was it, Counsel? Enlighten the court at once! Yes, we saw it yesterday, didn't we? Something that seems strange, but we had no reason to suspect it at the time. There's a particular object that explains why Dr. Scythe would have wanted to kill Mr. Asman. Once again, no idea. What's the answer, guys? Like, I'm not gonna know it at the rest of this. I guarantee it now. Scalpels? Why the scalpels? I guess we'll find out soon, huh? It's a scalpel, or rather, scalpels. Did you say scalpels? Ah! It would appear that the word has struck a chord, Doctor. You... Come on, out with it! It was yesterday when we visited your laboratory. Look at this big, thick book here. Ah, it appears to be an accounting ledger. It's a record of the forensics investigation team spending, I think. Oh, what is it? It's clear that the team purchased various equipment and supplies it on a monthly basis, but, well, one entry seems rather strange. Really? In what way? They're buying 500 scalpels every month. See, I completely forgot about that. 500 scalpels? A month? At first I wondered what on earth you could be using that many scalpels for. But actually, I realize now it's not the scalpels themselves that are significant, it's the money for them, disappearing every month from the department's accounts. Asman's criminal organization relied heavily on extortion for its funding. Tracing the money from the forensics investigation team's account to find out where it was going would be extremely straightforward. Ugh. Ugh. 10 years ago, when Mr. Asman was still a journalist and wrote this article about Mr. Drebber, he may well have stumbled upon information as he was researching the story. Information relating to Dr. Scythe's darkest secret that he would use to rack money from her for the next decade. Her darkest secret? Good lord, you mean... I don't know what happened on the night of that execution 10 years ago, but clearly the opportunity to rid yourself of that menace was too tempting to pass up. So in the end, you weren't coerced at all, were you? You did it entirely of your own free will. You stabbed Mr. Asman in the heart with all your might. To silence the blackmailer who knew your dark secret forever! You'll never understand. None of you. what we've had to keep covering up all these long years. Sounds good, Captain Chips. Eat well. Ice cream well. As very little of the machine remains after it was ripped apart by the bomb, the truth of this case can never be properly established until you speak out. And if you decide not to, it's very possible that Courtney Scythe will escape punishment for her crimes. Please, sir, own up to what you've done, and tell the court the truth about what happened. 10 years ago you told the truth, and you were robbed of a bright and successful future as a result. I can certainly understand your bitterness and your consternation now. However, this is surely the chance you've been waiting for, to sever the hold that fate's had over you all these years. Super high voltage instantaneous kinesis? I mean, really? It's the addle-brained mock scientists that are the worst, you know. They don't recognize the fact that they don't have talent, they can't even get that right. And so they end up chasing impossible dreams, having unbridled faith in their abilities. They go on and on about their wonderful hypothesis, their stupid eyes shining like a little child's. They make me sick. I can't abide their foolishness. Careful, Mr. Drebber. I was particularly pleased with the kinesis machine. It made for quite a show, didn't it? So you admit it? You admit that it was nothing more than a sham made for the purpose of killing the victim? Yes, I admit it. I did it all in the name of revenge. Revenge for the future that Mr. Asmund's article had deprived you of 10 years earlier? But the revenge you sought didn't stop at Asmund's, did it? Which is where that very particular waxwork comes in. Yes, I see. The condemned convict that you saw rising from the grave in Lowgate Cemetery 10 years ago. Your account of those events was all true. Then obviously Scotland Yard couldn't afford to acknowledge what had happened. Even if it meant discrediting a bright young man's and crushing any future career he might have had. So your plan required that you abduct the particular waxwork model in order to exact your revenge on Scotland Yard as well, or on Dr. Scythe, to be precise. It was a year ago. By some extraordinary twist of fate, Asmund turned up at my workshop. He didn't remember who I was, of course. He just wanted to employ my services as an engineer. And he happened to have a paper with him. An article on the front page caught my eye about the coroner who'd handled that bogus autopsy being appointed head of a new forensics team. When I learned of that news, my cognitive processes started to devise the plan. What a horrid tale! He robbed me of my future, so I wanted to use the man's own wiles against him for revenge. I have that, and have that rotten Scotland Yard eating out of my hand at the same time. I wanted them all to suffer the same humiliation I had to suffer. Your actions against those who'd ruined your future were justified as revenge, at least to yourself. Certainly no one has the right to destroy another's prospects, especially for the purely selfish gain. And yet, in carrying out your plan, you did exactly that to someone else, didn't you? Did I? Professor Harebrain's only crime was passion for his hypothesis, but you had no compunction about sacrificing his future to effect your revenge. You knew that he would be forever branded as a failure and a fraud. Perhaps life treated you unfairly 10 years ago, and others' misconduct left your life in tatters. But remember this. Your own actions resulted in exactly the same thing for another perfectly innocent young man. I'm sorry. Lord Van Zeeks, what of Dr. Scythe? An immediate warrant for her arrest has been granted, and she's been remanded in custody, my lord. I presume she will face trial in the coming days, along with Mr. Drebber. A most regrettable situation indeed. She's made great contributions to her profession over the years. It really is a hard truth to swallow. However, that is a topic for some future occasion. For now, Professor Hairbrain... Oh, yes. It seems there was a great deal more to your experiment than you realized. However, I think we can assume now that all the sordid details have been brought to light. This has been a very long and profound trial, but I'm pleased to say you are absolved of all guilt. This whole experience has taught me a very great but painful lesson. Me, this dedicated scientist, this devotee of natural philosophy. I've been selfish and self-centered, and above all, a fool. Professor. I spent my entire life thinking of nothing but my research, misguidedly believing that I could do whatever I set my mind to, despite my lack of talent. And the worst of it is, in the process, I've caused others pain and misery, others who are far, far greater people than I. No, Professor, that's not true. Well? Don't tar yourself with the same brush as Drebber. What happened to was his doing and his alone. This outcome is his fate, not yours. You're not to blame in any way. Lord Van Zeeks, and the derision with which he referred to you earlier, calling you a fool, talentless even. The man has no idea. To believe in yourself and work your fingers to the bone to realize your dreams, that's laudable, not laughable. No one has the right to deride another for such choices. Oh. Thank you, Barak. So, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, yes, my lord. It is the court's expectation that you find the defendant not guilty of the charge of which he stands accused. I presume there are no objections? None for me, my lord. Certainly not. This trial has really made me think, but this is the right decision. It's all been proved methodically and rigorously. I have no misgivings whatsoever.
What's that? He's done, is he? It's all over?
I don't know what's become of the yard these days. I don't recognize that place. Very well. In that case, I hereby pronounce the defendant not guilty.
Woo!
And that is the end of that, folks. That was a long, long case. Court is adjourned. It's over. That was some trial. Professor, what a splendid outcome, isn't it? Oh, it is, it is! Congratulations, Professor Hairbrain! Mr. Naruhodo, Miss Susato, I am truly here beside myself with gratitude. How can I ever thank you enough? I'm just glad it's all been cleared up, that you realize you were just caught up in a bad situation. Can't imagine how the other two aren't gonna be nuts. Yeah, I bet they're gonna be crazy. Cray cray.
Ah, right now you know if I had that research grant money. Ah, I give this whole lot to you, every penny.
Well, that's very kind, but I'm just a student, so... We don't need any financial reward. Your acquittal is more than enough. Oh dear. Oh, what can I do?
Aha!
How about this as a memento? This paper about my hypothesis is inside. Well, just as a memento then. Thank you. I've been wondering, Professor, what are you going to do now? Oh my, yes, what am I going to do? My hypothesis and my great machine lie in ruins. But still, it's been too long since I was last in London, so perhaps I'll enjoy some sightseeing. I must explore the great exhibition whilst I'm here, too, and see if new inspiration hits me. Oh yes, that's a wonderful idea. I can't allow that. Oh boy. Does any wonder why Phoenix was always so poor? Yeah, always a wonder. Lord Van Zeeks, what are you doing in here? Gets it from his ancestor. Barack. I'm sorry you had to go through that, Albert.
Well, if I'm honest, it was terrifying. You were like a great demon behind your bench there, snarling down on your prey.
You're one of the few true friends I have. I couldn't leave it to anybody else to handle the prosecution or the defense. Sorry, or the defense? Did I just hear that right?
I always knew that you had my best interest at heart, don't worry. How about you show me around while I'm here in town? It's been a long time since we left university. We have a lot to catch up on.
Listen, Albert. In a few days, your acquittal will be made official. When that happens, you must head straight to Dover. I'll accompany you.
What?
From there, you'll cross the channel and make your way back to Germany. I've already purchased the tickets.
But no. Hold on a minute, Barack. What about the great exhibition? This is the chance of a lifetime for me. I want to look around.
No sightseeing, Albert. Give up on the idea.
Sometimes it's hard to see any warmth in those eyes, Barack.
Lord Van Zeeks? What's all this about? A necessary precaution.
Yes, I think I understand.
You do?
Well, Iris told me that when you meet Lord Van Zeeks at his office some days ago, he asked how Mr. Natsumi was doing. Yes, that's right. I remember being surprised at the time and thinking it was nice of him to ask. The point is, Mr. Natsumi is still alive and well, even though it's been more than 6 months now that he stood trial with the Reaper as the prosecutor. Ah, you mean the Reaper's influence doesn't stretch overseas?
Those in the Reaper's sights meet their ends days or sometimes months after their acquittal. That's been the pattern up to now.
But of course, we know that both Mr. Natsumi and Gina were completely innocent.
True, and perhaps that governs the Reaper's actions, that truly innocent are spared. But I don't want to take any chances with a close personal friend.
Barack?
Like the moustache Nipponese, this man should leave the country without delay. That's why I'm packing him off to Germany at once.
Right. Does your friend-shaped package get any say in it? Goodness, was this your intention all along then, Lord Van Zeeks?
In court, where people think of him as the Reaper, this man seems absolutely merciless, and yet sometimes I feel as though I don't understand him at all. It's time to go, Albert. Back to the prison for the time being.
Yes, alright. Well then, Mr. Naruhodo. Thank you so much for everything.
Not at all, Professor. It was a pleasure getting to know you. Dude trying to save his friend from himself. Yep. From the Reaper person.
Best wishes, Professor Hairbrain. Well, once the dust is settled, you must come and visit me in Germany. Anyway, goodbye for now.
Doesn't want one of the few men he actually likes to die because of something he doesn't understand and no control over, so we're making certain this man gets to safety for the frick out of London. The frick out of Dodge, am I right? Now, my Nipponese friend.
Oh, yes? I thought you'd gone too.
We have matters to discuss. Can you spare me some time?
You want to talk with me?
I'll be waiting in the courtroom in 10 minutes.
Well, that was strange. For some reason, I didn't get that sense of impending doom as he walked away this time.
Probably nothing. Probably just a nice talk.
The enigma Barak Van Zieks. What does he want to discuss, I wonder? The answer awaits in the courtroom, I suppose. Here goes, then. Here we go!
So are you satisfied? You saved a guiltless scientist from a great injustice.
Yes, I think so. I'm relieved at least that the man's innocence could be proven.
Anyway, I imagine you've been wondering where my animosity toward you Nipponese comes from.
Whee! That's what I say, stars. Woo! Well, at first I thought you just didn't like me. I imagine you saw me as a pretentious child from an unimportant land who had no business being here. But now I think differently. You clearly know our ways, so I would guess that some specific incident led to your thorough dislike of my race. Will you tell me what happened, please?
The professor. I thought I'd never hear that name in this courtroom again, to be honest.
He took your brother's life.
Clint. My brother was Clint Van Zieks. 16 years ago, when I was still just in my teens, he was already the director of prosecutions and a key member of the judiciary. I looked up to him. He was everything I aspired to be. He was involved in the establishment of justice systems in foreign countries as well. There were exchange programs between Britain and other nations there too, to share knowledge and ideas. As part of one of those programs, 3 judicial students came to Britain from your homeland, the Empire of Japan.
Oh! If it was 16 years ago, then one of them could have been my father.
Of course. I remember Dr. Mikatoba well.
I had no idea.
I was a minor at the time, training at the prosecutor's office. One day, Clint introduced me to the 3 visiting Nipponese.
So, you've actually met my father?
He and his colleagues were polite and amicable. They were adept at their work and exacting in their standards. It was my first encounter with the Nipponese spirit, and it made a very great impression on me. But 6 years later, that's when it happened. The investigation was going nowhere. There were no suspects even, just an ever-growing list of victims. In the end, my brother became one of them. The last, in fact, before the case was finally resolved.
I'm so sorry, Lord Van Zieks. Truly.
Clint was always ready to put his life on the line for justice anyway. So he wouldn't have wanted it any other way. He lost his life to the killer, but it was his victory in the end. For me personally, though, it was a great loss. I found myself in a very dark place indeed. When I finally found out the killer's identity, the reason why no one had been able to catch the man sooner ceased to be such a mystery. He'd been hiding in plain sight all this time.
In plain sight?
Are you aware of the political events 10 years ago? It was a period of extremely sensitive diplomacy between the British and Japanese empires.
A new treaty was being forged, I think?
Correct. The Anglo-Japanese Treaty of Friendship and Navigation was being concluded. The leaders of both countries were deep in extensive political discussions. which is why this particular killer's appearance in court was conducted as a closed trial. If the British public had known the identity of the killer, not only would the treaty have been in jeopardy, but our two nations could very well have ended up at war.
What? A war between Britain and Japan? But that would mean... Oh my! You mean to say the professor was...
When the trial reached its conclusion earlier, I thought to myself, yes, it's time. Time for you to come face to face with this hideous monster.
Oh, are we gonna see who it is?
Did you notice that there's no anime cutscenes in this game, by the way?
Same situation at the beginning of Game 1. A little bit, yeah.
I borrowed the key for the mask from the proprietress of the Waxwork Museum. So see for yourselves now. Confirm it with your own eyes. The truth that's been hidden this past decade.
It's Iris's face. It was Iris the whole time.
That's the professor?
Yes, that's him.
Until now, the thought never even crossed my mind. That the mass murderer, whose crimes shook Britain as never before,
Who's that?
was Japanese.
Oh.
Wait a minute.
Okay,
That
that's
face.
probably not good.
I feel as though I've seen it somewhere. It's strangely familiar.
Oh.
Is that bad? Mask to mask?
Father.
Oh dear.
What? Father?
This guy's father?
Kazuma!
It really is Kazuma.
My best friend, Kazuma Asogi. After a whole year, finally his memories returned.
Welp.
As he stood there before me, Ryunosuke.
This is something, guys.
My goodness.
Hello again.
Ryunosuke, what the hell is that mouse on your shoulder?
My friend.
Kazuma-sama!
Judicial Assistant Mikotoba. It's been a very long road. Thank you.
Yeah, I'll say.
Thank you for guiding my friend here. when I could not.
Chunosuke? Is that his name, the mouse dude? Chunosuke? It's cute. What a great friend dumping all his problems on his buddy like that again. I know. He's like just looking at the mouse.
It was an honor.
I knew you wouldn't die that easily. Kazuma.
I owe you thanks, too, for taking good care of that in my absence.
Oh. Karuma. The great blade of the Asogi clan. Passed down through the generations.
Someone should tell the one girl that killed Kazuma, by the way, that he's not dead, and get her out of prison. Just saying.
When we left Japan, this sword was at my friend's side. The Japanese man's katana is his soul, and he couldn't be parted from it. But then, when the incident happened, It was Susato-san's wish that I inherit the sword, and I've kept it with me ever since, along with my memories of the friendship we shared. With this by my side, I always felt that you were watching over me somehow.
I've made it. At last. Father.
His suit, swaps Edgeworth colors. It does. It would make sense that this would be Edgeworth's ancestor, because he and Phoenix are friends, and these two are friends. So they're friends, like, from all across the ages.
Are you saying... Surely not. You mean, you knew all this time? I'm looking at it, but I still can't believe it. This mass murderer is Kazuma's father.
Off with his head. Yep. Is he allowed to do that?
Kazuma-sama.
Even with amnesia, he waved her sword around in court. Yep. Not confirmed that it is his ancestor, I think, but that seems to be a hint. Let me go check on that. Well, wait until the game is done, Captain Chips, to know for sure. Mine's just his head. More than just his head. It's wax? Yeah, but it's important wax, though.
Ryunosuke, we have much to talk about, but now is not the time. I'll be seeing you.
I'm leaving. Bye.
That's all Kazuma said. Before he turned and left us there, in the courtroom.
Before he turned and left all three of us there in the courtroom. Me, Susato, and Chunosuke. Let's ditch again. Let's ditch him. Just coincidence? Cool. So he's the living after-image of the man who took my brother's life, is he? Yes, Kazuma Asogi, my best friend. 3 months ago, when Lord Strongheart introduced us. I had an inkling there was something there, some connection. But why did Lord Strongheart do that? Why did he make Kazuma Lord Van Zeek's apprentice, when he was suffering amnesia too? The man was apprehended, even executed, but his legacy just won't die. That's the sad truth. Anyway, that's all I had to say. I thank you for meeting with me as I asked. What's he so angry about? Why did he kill the wax? Because his father was a murderer, apparently. And the wax sculpture was his dad. 10 years ago, my grandmother took me to the railway station. We were there to meet my father from the train. For me. It was the first time I'd ever seen him. Poor Susato-san. All this is tied up with painful memories for her, too. She's never talked about this with me before, though. It took time to adjust to having father around, but just when I was starting to get used to it, he called me into his study one day. He told me that a great friend of his had passed away in London, and that the friend had left behind a son, a boy, 7 years my senior. Father told me the boy had made a promise to his late father, so he was studying to become a defense lawyer. Also, holy crap, this case never ends. I wanted to help, so I studied to become a qualified judicial assistant. as I'm sure you've worked that out. That young man's name was Kazuma Asogi. So you see, that's how he and I met. If Kazuma were Edgeworth's ancestor, would be on a mother's or grandmother's side,
For a brief
Asogi.
moment, my great friend had returned, only to disappear again all too soon.
Versus Mitsuragi? Who's Mitsuragi again? Sorry. Lots of big names, I forgot who that was. Poor Ryuno gets dragged into everything.
But in that fleeting encounter, something stirred. Something that had been dormant for a long time. As if great wheels had been set in motion. I could almost hear them creaking into life. In some ways, it was the end of a chapter. But in many, it was the start of a new one.
Maybe the start of a new one. Not sure yet. Okay, yeah. It's the end of the chapter. Yay! The demasking. I can give you all a little Pokemon Animu Marathon update, by the way. Last session was kind of weird. There was this alternate Ash Ketchum. He got a rainbow wing from Ho-Oh instead of just seeing Ho-Oh. He ran into a Marshadow at one point. There were two like extra trainers and a Charmander trainer who wasn't the other one. And there was a battle at the end and it was crazy. And then Pikachu said, It's because I want to be there for you. And then I heard 1,000 fanboys just raging when I heard that. But I liked it. Marshadow is still one of the cutest mythics you can get. You can't tell me otherwise. He is pretty cute. And scary. Suddenly thought of Monty Python. Your mother was a hamster and your father smelt of elderberries. Miles and Gregory Edgeworth's Japanese names are Reiji and Shin Mitsurugi. Oh, gotcha. Did not know. Pikachu talks in the 20th movie. Yes, Pikachu talks. It was a touching moment. And it was an opportunity for the Japanese actress to actually have lines and not just Pikachu. Anyway, Twisted Karma and His Last Bow, Episode 4. Von Karma? Von Karma, guys. He's back. You should watch the 20th movie, it's good. You should also watch all the movies. They're good.
Pipe in hand, Sholmes looked down at the thick, rolling fog outside our window. I wonder exactly how many mysteries are out there, hidden within this bed of fog, he said. Indeed, a most bizarre incident, born of a curious advertisement.
Freaking redheads.
A hellhound's mad gallop through the shadows of a serial murder. An executed man's graveyard resurrection in the dead of night. And a commonplace killing in a small, forgotten room at the edge of town. There is, naturally, always another side to every case, of which most remain ignorant. And it is that other side which compels me to the scene of the crime, Wilson. So quickly now, take your hat and let's be on our way, my dear fellow. For our adventure is not over yet. Come, the game is afoot.
Yay. The game is afoot. The gist to that scene is that Ash is close to death, and as neither has him hallucinating or made a mental connection with the closest mon, other people complain, but honestly it was a good scene well executed. I know. People just whine and whine and whine. He can't speak, he can't speak. Like, shut up. Lounging with their cat. Ah. Keep on lounging. The best you can. Hedgewolf says you wouldn't be shocked if Sykes is related to Edgy. Who knows, huh? 8 days after that earth-shattering trial and Kazuma regained his memory, we were in the foyer of one of London's most luxurious hotels, the Great Waterloo Hotel.
November 1st, guys! If I remember correctly, I think November 1st is Hello Kitty's birthday. So, happy birthday, Hello Kitty. You don't exist at this point, but yeah. Professor Mikatoba is due to arrive at any moment. Yes, I'm so glad we got here in time. Susato-san hasn't been the same since what happened. Not that I'm surprised. I have no problems with talking Pokemon. I know. See? What's the issue, huh? I think it's awesome talking Pokies. Even Pika. The truth about Kazuma-sama's father. Do you suppose my father knew that he was actually the mass murderer, the professor, you mean? I wonder why the father was the mass murderer, by the way. I knew that's what she was thinking about. There's a good chance I'd say. I mean, they did come here to London together 16 years ago, didn't they? Yes, that's true. Come to think of it, didn't you say that Professor Mikatoba knew about Kazuma going missing in Hong Kong as well? I almost forgot. Where would one think where do you guys think the murderer of the third case belongs on the kill this man list? Not sure. I'll leave it to you guys to decide. That's right, but for some reason he wasn't at liberty to talk to me about it. That probably means he knows then about Kazuma showing up here in London with amnesia and that he's regained his memory now. You'd object to Meowth? Meowth talking? It's messed up. Except it's not. Ah, there she is. Oh, the judge. Oh, father. Hello, Susato. How are you two? Or how are you? I'm very well, thank you. We're delighted that you've arrived safe and sound. Hello, Mr. Naruhodo. Very kind of you to take the trouble to meet us here. Oh, no, not at all. It's my pleasure. We've heard all about your extraordinary exploits here in London, you know. The news has crossed the seas. It has? I always look forward to reading this month's reports that arrive with the steamships from Britain. Oh, I see. Well, thank you very much. Who is this man, and why do I feel as though I've seen him before? I take it from your expression that you can't quite place me. In that case, how about a little reminder, Seishiro? A firm tap should do it. Yes. A firm tap? What? Here we go, then. I hereby pronounce the defendant, Ryunosuke Naruhodo, guilty. Ah! Oh, you're... Judge. The court will now hear the trial of Ryunosuke Naruhodo. Is that the judge? That's the judge from Japan, yep. He's here. Which just carries around a golden gavel when traveling. I mean, why not, right? What is about Ryuno's family now? Ryuno's family now? Good question. Your Excellency. Hello, Judge G. Goku. How are you? It's been a long time. By the way, guys, should we keep the costumes or change them back, by the way? I don't know if you all knew this, but these are costumes that I can put on my characters. We'll leave it all to the lot of ya. It's been a long time. Ha 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 ha. Good, you remembered now. That really did the trick. Guilty. Ha 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 ha. You love Susato's costume, but Naruhodo's is eh. What about, Sholmes's strange yukata? Only I was declared not guilty, wasn't I? And there was no laughing at the time. So, London again after all this time. Hard to believe it's been 10 years. To be honest, I never thought I'd be back. Neither did I. I didn't imagine Japan would ever be invited to an international symposium like this. Though really, I doubt anyone did, to be honest. Sholmes is slightly off-kilter. I'll probably switch Sholmes's back to his detectiveness. Though really, I doubt anyone did, to be honest. It's all thanks to you, isn't it, Seishiro? What are you talking about, Yujin? Ha 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 ha. Of course, Judge Jigoku must complete the set.
He's the other man who 16 years ago came to London with Kazuma's father and Professor Mikotoba. He's the third visiting scholar. Well, all those passport checks and luggage searches at the border took rather a lot of time. I must say I'm very envious of your ministerial status. You didn't have to go through any of that, did you? Oh, I know you were jealous. Ha 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 ha. Sorry? Ministerial status? Yes, didn't you know? Seishiro here is also Japan's Minister of Foreign Affairs. It was his personal insistence that allowed you to take Kazuma's place here on the study tour. Guilty as charged. Ha 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 ha. Oh, well, thank you very much. Phoenix's judge packed his gavel on a train ride in the anime episodes. Yeah, he did, actually. I remember that. Sholmes is always weird. Sholmes is always a weirdo. I take it you watch the anime, Astro Dude? I have it with me at me own house. Astro Dude, do you think they'll make an Apollo Justice anime? I hope they do. Ah, yes, now Naruhodo. I received a telegram from Lord Strongheart yesterday. Oh, you did? It appears that some things came to light in a trial you were involved with 8 days ago. About what happened 10 years ago. That tragedy. You want them to? I hope they do. Come on, you can do it. It's gonna be amazing. And then maybe the Edgeworth games too. That might be pushing it, but still. Yes, could you tell us more about it? So, how was the voyage here? Well, 50 days at sea is a long time by anyone's standards, but it wasn't as bad when we first came 16 years ago. No, that's true, and I truly wondered if we wouldn't be drifting in the vast ocean for the rest of our lives. This time we followed the same route as you, so we were able to relax and enjoy the experience. Ah, so you stopped in France's beautiful capital, Paris? We did, yes, though only for one night. And yesterday evening we left the port of Dunkirk for Dover. Just in time for the symposium, in fact. Starts tomorrow. It's wonderful that you were invited to attend such an important international event. I'm very proud of you, Father. Father! It's thanks to Seishiro here. 16 years ago he managed to ingratiate himself with Britain's Attorney General. I'm sure that's why he was invited, and I suppose you could say I'm something of an appendage by default. Speak for yourself, Eugen. You were close friends with a professor of forensic sciences at a major hospital. Yes, well, I'd rather not dredge all that up, really. No, there's been a lot of water under the bridge since then, but it doesn't bring him back. Kazuma's father, I suppose. Okay. Maybe each game has its own season since Apollo's trilogy is less cohesive than Phoenix's. If that means, since Apollo's trilogy is bigger, yeah, Apollo's games are a lot longer than the other ones. We'll see. The professor, the killer who took the lives of 5 members of the British aristocracy, was actually Kazuma's father, wasn't he? That's correct. Genshin Asogi. You could say that the country of Britain had a Genshin impact. Genshin? You knew, I presume, Father? Yes, he was a close friend at the time. Genshin came to Britain as a police detective. He was studying investigative techniques at Scotland Yard. I never understood what drove the man to commit such heinous acts. It was a closed trial, so the public never knew the truth, and he was executed with little ado. To this day, very few people know what really happened, even in our homeland. Lovely pun. Glad you appreciated it. But what about Kazuma? Did he know? Did he know the truth about his father? No, of course not. He was told his father passed from sickness. However, I suspect he may have had his doubts. Oh, why? As you know, I tried to guide Kazuma growing up as if he were my own son. Then one day, he came to my office at a university and said,
I've decided I want to travel to Great Britain and study there.
Do you think he wanted to come here to investigate his father's death?
I don't know. But when I looked into his eyes, I did know that there was no way I'd be able to stop him. Something else came to light in that trial the other day, actually.
Oh, what? Well, having disappeared in Hong Kong and been missing for almost a year, Kazuma since turned up here in London, working as the apprentice of Lord Van Zeeks.
What? What? This news to us?
So, Lord Strongheart's telegram neglected to mention that part then. Kazuma's reappearance. As you know, we both thought Kazuma had died on the steamship during our voyage to Great Britain in January. But he didn't die. He's alive. As you knew, didn't you, Father?
In actual fact, no. What I did know is that when your ship docked in Hong Kong, he mysteriously vanished. We sent a team of investigators to Hong Kong to try to ascertain what had happened, but to no avail. But he's still alive and here in London, you say? Never dared even to dream of it. Why on earth did the young man not make contact? The government and the police have been chasing clues fruitlessly for months now.
Well, it seemed that he was suffering from amnesia.
What? Amnesia?
When we first came across him again here in London, he didn't know who either of us were.
I see.
He only regained his memories 8 days ago. The actual victim was Kazuma's personal wind.
Poor guy. This is unbelievable.
Yes,
It's quite miraculous.
I wonder why Lord Strongheart didn't let us know. I must speak with him urgently. I wonder how Kazuma's been these past few days. Would it be wrong of us to go and visit him? Your time in Britain.
That began 16 years ago now. It's a distant memory, really. It was Yujin here, Genshin Asogi, and myself. We were the original three. The first judicial scholars from Japan to travel overseas to study.
Ocean voyages were not what they are today, I can tell you. 16 years ago, things were tough for their generation.
Your father was an exceptionally fine medical student at Yume University at the time, you know, young lady?
Yes, grandmother told me.
He went to do research at a great London hospital to study autopsy, practically unheard of in Japan.
Yes, it was an eerie place, sandwiched between the back of a prison and a burial ground.
Ugh, not more talk of graves.
Very often there was no one willing to deal with bodies following autopsy work. So you see, autopsy labs have something of an unavoidable relationship with graveyards and prisons. Not my cup of tea at all.
Do you remember that Scottish prison governor? Caden, his name was. He was a good man. Yes, but then, of course, in our 6th year here, everything changed with that dreadful case, and Genshin was arrested for a series of the most gruesome murders. I simply couldn't believe it. I'd known the man for years. I was a witness on the secret hearing, and I tried to speak in his defense, but you went a little too far and ended up facing charges yourself, didn't you? Well, suffice to say, after that trial, we were sent back to Japan.
There was nothing more we could do to save Genshin. He was a lost cause, sadly.
We tried to save Genshin, but nope. The lottery system is in that game, and it will not ever leave. Well, if you'll excuse us now. Yes, I'd like to get this trunk up to my room as soon as possible.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I should have held you up here for so long. I'll call for the porter then. Just wait here. Susato-san's gone off in a run.
I'd like to stay and talk more, but I do have various preparations to make for tomorrow.
Yes, of course. It must be a big responsibility representing our entire country. I wish you the best of luck.
Naruhodo, I hope you'll keep an eye on Susato for me. Keep looking after her as you obviously have been.
Oh no, I mean, if anyone's looking after anyone, it's her looking after me.
Well, I do appreciate you being there for her. After all, I've been a miserable father to her. I've thoroughly let her down.
Sorry? What do you mean?
Well, it was 16 years ago that I started my long study tour here in Britain, as you know. Gambling with lives is a real problem. Yeah, little bit. Edgewolf, your name color changed. It's throwing me off. I'm so confused now. I mean, the very year Susato was born. Yes, I heard. The birth of my daughter was the most joyous event of my life, but... well, sadly it was accompanied by the most tragic event of my life, too. Wanted to be greener. Sometimes you just gotta go greener. Oh, yes, Susato-san hinted at something like that. It was a rather turbulent time at home. Was getting bored with the normal green. He went with lime green. Anyway, I won't bore you with the details. The point is, I became rather less dependable than befits a grown man, and it was then that Sashiro offered me the opportunity to study here in Great Britain. I was too worried about you to leave you behind, so perhaps I was a little heavy-handed when it came to persuading you to accompany me in London. So, that's what happened in a nutshell. And that's also the reason why I now feel compelled to give my daughter as many opportunities as I dare. Though the world does not readily afford a young woman such things, I must say. I completely understand, Professor. Ah, one other thing, Naruhodo. If I may be so bold, I have a favor to ask of you. Oh, really? Of course. What can I do for you? Well, the thing is, I'm so sorry that took so long. Miss Susato, now then, allow us to take your bags. Allow me to take your bags. One moment, if you please, Porter. Who's this guy? Have we seen this guy yet? Before? He looks familiar. Of course, sir. That machine around your neck, it's a camera, I believe. Quite right, sir. Just 5 shillings for a lovely photograph to commemorate a wonderful stay at the hotel, sir. Well, I think given the occasion, we could justify the expense. Ah, yes, of course. He was a juryman? Ah, that's nice. I forgot about that. I'd like to thank you for coming with me, Mr. Naruhodo. It really made Father very happy, I think. Oh, well, I'm pleased then. But we were interrupted before. Professor Mikatoba was about to ask me something. Shall we return to Baker Street then? I expect Iris will have some delicious tea waiting for us. Yes, let's go. I'm getting more and more anxious about Kazuma, though. Perhaps I'll try to meet with Lord Strongheart later and ask after him. All right, a new location. Ryuno looks super nervous in the picture. A little bit nervous. Well, nothing new here. Something new here? What was that? A man screaming in a most unflattering way? Do you think... could it have been Mr. Sholmes? Oh my, I do hope not. I don't do it anymore. Mon ami, mon ami. Who the heck are these two? Stop this disgraceful display, huh? Who are these people? Look at their hair. It's bright red. I think they must be clients of Mr. Sholmes. Nope, of Gina. Right, you two. You're coming with me now, down to the clink. No, not in prison. It's dark and damp and I don't like it. Born the darkness, it is my friend. I am not scared. But you are always scared of the dark. Shut your mouth, you idiot. I will sit quietly in the dark and plan our next daring heist. I don't like this. I don't like it. Oh. Nah, well, tough. We'll finish this down at the yard. Now get moving. Bye then, Ginny. Have fun. Oh yeah, thanks, Iris, and thanks, you great detective. Guys, what the heck?
Hee. Gina makes a fine detective herself, doesn't she? Oh, Susie and Bruno. Hello, Iris. We're home. Well, did you find your daddy? Yes, we arrived at the hotel just before he and his friend. Oh, well, that's great news. I hope I'll get to see my daddy again soon. Ah, yes, of course. Dr. John H. Wilson. So, Iris, all that remains now is that the greatest of problems known to man. Oh. His hair is red now. But before we concern ourselves with that, I believe some tea is in order, don't you, my dear fellows? The porter was the master of the guild's coachman, Beppo's boss, and juror 5 in McGilded's trial. Gotcha. Good to remember that now. Thank you. Is something wrong, Mr. Naruhodo? Do I have a crumb of such like on my face? Not so much on your face, as on your head, I'd say. Come along then, everyone. I brewed a lovely special blend. Time for tea. Whatever is going on here today? In that case, let us sit and drink now, for I am, in fact, expecting a guest later today. Okay. Whoops. So... Mr. Sholmes, who were the two gentlemen that were here before? Oh, just a pair of petty criminals, nothing of significance. Of course, they have to make a living somehow. And when the mood takes me, I'm willing to turn a blind eye to all manner of infractions. When the mood takes you, all manner of infractions? But when such fellows set their sights on Mr. Herlock Sholmes, well, that's when their luck runs out. So they're still not telling Iris? Yeah, still not saying it yet. Oh my, you were the target of a crime, Mr. Sholmes? But I quickly devised a plan to entrap them and deliver them to our young detective ally. You should have asked Gregsley to come too. We could have had an arresting tea party. I did send word, but no answer was forthcoming. The man is consummately in the wrong place at the wrong time. There's a word for it, I'm sure. Aha, I have it. A bungler. That's the word. It's a good job he's not here to hear you say that. So those redheads have been up to no good. That's racist? I wonder what the men did. Good question. What was that about the greatest of problems known to man that you mentioned before? Is it another fiendishly intricate case, Mr. Sholmes? How should I best explain it? Are you aware of the theory of evolution by natural selection, perchance? Well, I think I've heard talk of it somewhere, possibly. It's a revolutionary scientific theory that newly purposed 40 years ago now. According to its author, Mr. Darwin, we humans were once apes who lived in the treetops. Wait, what? We were apes? Indeed, and from the very moment these apes descended from the canopy to live as humans, it has been our lot to be at the mercy of the greatest problem known to man. Our lot? What is this great problem, Mr. Sholmes? Why, is it not obvious, my dear madam? The problem of rent. But did you not receive a rather large sum of money from Madame Tuspells only the other day? Pshaw, a large sum. 1 potted herb for Iris and a new motor car for me later, and all of it has quite disappeared, I assure you. Honestly, Hurley, you know you squandered it. Yes, well, anyway, 2 days ago, I discovered the answer to man's greatest problem, for the coming month at least. And what was the answer? Why, there is a substantial clue. Before your very eyes. Don't tell me. Let me see. Humans are sorry creatures, unable to see what is in front of their noses. Let me give you some assistance. Don't look, but observe me very closely. There's one particular feature about my person that has changed. You should notice it in the end, I think. In the end?
It's been stabbing me in both eyes right from the very beginning of our conversation. I think we might need another clue before we uncover the full answer, Mr. Naruhodo. Thanks for the hint. I'll be tearing my hair out if this charade goes on much longer. Mr. Sholmes, isn't it about time you told us the truth? Just over a week ago, you said to us... I will now tell you something of the first importance, my dear fellow. Great detectives are wont to lie. It will serve you well to remember that. That case aboard the SS Berea in January, Kazuma wasn't killed, and you knew he wasn't dead at the time. So what was really going on? The fellow was unconscious for a very long time. If he hadn't regained consciousness when he did, his life would have been in mortal peril. Of course, a side effect of the prolonged comatose state was amnesia, as you now know. It was a simple enough test to silence the crew, but how? After they'd carried him out of the cabin, I assembled them in the lobby area. Then I made them swear to leave him unconscious and have him unlaid from this ship in Hong Kong as a murdered corpse. I think Sholmes is impressive in the most absurd ways. I know, right? He knew all along. Oh, how horrible! It was necessary to find some material with which to persuade the crewmen to keep their word, of course. But why? Why do it in the first place? I will be at liberty to elaborate in due course. But for the time being, I would like to reassure you. I didn't foresee subsequent events. What events? His disappearance in Hong Kong. Oh. I believe I may have made a gross error of judgment. Mr. Sholmes. Okay. Guess that's it for this place. To the Justice Office! Aha! Here is the final draft of the opening address for tomorrow's proceedings. I've supplemented your original with the figures you asked for the yard. From the yard. I see. Excellent work. Thank you. You're welcome, my lord. What's Lord Van Zeeks doing here? My, there seems to be an awful lot of tension in the air, wouldn't you say? This place is stifling enough as it is. We really don't need any more tension. My apologies. I didn't notice you come in. Your small statue and dark dress makes you all but invisible to me. Oh, no, it's entirely my fault for wearing black, I'm sure. Or green. From now on, you must dress in white from head to toe whenever you come here. Now then, Mr. Naruhodo. Yes, my lord. I'm right here. Kill me now. Is something wrong? Perhaps it's a little too hot in here for you. Oh, no, not at all. I mean, I've never experienced a room at such a perfect temperature. If you're sure, then beads of sweat caving in their way down your face seem to suggest otherwise. Because of the daggers you're staring at me with, mainly. As you're no doubt aware, my International Forensic Science Symposium begins tomorrow. In fact, your father arrived in London earlier today, I hear, madam. Oh, yes, that's right, my lord. He's extremely honored to have been invited. I'll leave the remaining preparations for the meeting room in your capable hands then, Lord Van Zeeks. I will attend at once. He gave you a very cold stare as he left, didn't he? I know, but I haven't done anything. Have I? These past few days, my feet have barely touched the ground, I must say. My dedication right hand of many years was recently put out of action in spectacular fashion. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. Is your left hand still of service? Mr. Naruhodo, he's talking about Dr. Scythe. Ah, of course. I'm terribly sorry about that. I was just, fear not. You've done nothing wrong. Dr. Scythe's own wrongdoing precipitated the situation. You needn't concern yourself with it any further. That would be a lot easier to do if it weren't for the piercing stare you're giving me. Lord Van Zeeks is doing an admirable job of holding the fort, though disturbingly, his appearance has been missing since yesterday, his apprentice, rather. Oh, missing? Mr. Wright friends, or at least are honest with him, but Ryunos keep lying to him? I know. Poor Ryuno. What's become of Kazuma-sama now? Converse. Not long ago, visitor numbers to the Great Exhibition exceeded 30 million. 30 million? Are those even that many people in the world? There are now, that's for sure. As a comparison, Mr. Naruhodo, the population of the imperial capital Tokyo is 2 million. I will be opening the International Forensic Science Symposium in the exhibition's main auditorium. This event has been 2 years in the making. 2 years of preparations and negotiations with other countries. Sounds like a tremendous achievement. Congratulations. The 20th century will see a wholesale adoption of forensics investigation techniques. And cooperation between policing organizations around the globe will be essential. Which is why that landmark's first symposium has to be hosted here at the heart of our great British Empire, in order that Scotland Yard can become the leading investigative organization in the New World. He's the same as ever, I see. That passion of his is quite something. You're every bit as passionate in your own way, I'm sure, Mr. Naruhodo. I'm the only person in this country who truly cares about a future that embraces forensic science. It was my intention to become Her Majesty's Attorney General and reform the Yard from the ground up. So the disgrace of the forensics investigation team has been a bitter blow to my ambitions. Okay. I first established the forensics investigation team a year ago, experimentally to start with. With Dr. Scythe at the helm, it was steadily accruing an impressive record of achievement. It was on the verge of changing its name and elevating its status to a full-blown forensics investigation department. And, can you not do that now? Obviously, nobody wants to hear anything about it at the moment. Even I can't keep the story out of the papers. 6 million Londoners will be cursing forensic science now. This incident will set back our country's advancement in the field by a good 10 years, I'd say. Unintended repercussions of our trial. Whoops! We simply couldn't have overlooked what had happened, though. Of course not. We should all be grateful to you both. Anyway, I'll still reform this country's policing when I become Attorney General. This might delay my plans, but it won't alter them. Nothing will stand in my way. Okay. About Lord Van Zeek's apprentice. Ah, yes, that came as a surprise to me, I must say, that you and he are old friends. How did he become an apprentice to Lord Van Zeek's in the first place? It came about 3 months ago. An unidentified Asian man was apprehended by border police. They found him hiding aboard a large goods vessel. Oh my! So he stowed away to get here? He had no papers to identify him, no passport, and he was suffering from amnesia, too. Other than the fact that he was clearly of Eastern descent, there were no clues as to who he was. So I decided to assign him to Lord Van Zeek's, that way I could keep an eye on him. But then, why the mask? I didn't want to burden Lord Van Zeek's with tiresome explanations about why he had an Eastern appearance, because it would be so much easier to explain why he was wearing a mask. He's proving to be a great help to Lord Van Zeek's. I have high hopes for his future. By the way, do you know where he's gone? No idea, but I believe he's left London for the time being. Oh. Sad that science is being dragged down by bad peoples. By all the bad peopleses. I take it you also didn't know that the man's father was one of our country's most infamous criminals, I mean. Genshin Asogi.
What we learned from that trial 8 years ago was a huge shock. Finding out my friend's father was... Ah yes, Genshin Osogi. The professor case 10 years ago caused a great stir here in Britain. They were such awful murders and unprecedented, using a ferocious dog as a murder weapon. And no one would have believed the culprit was a foreign student invited to study here by the government. So the true identity of the killer couldn't be made public then, and can't be made public now. Nobody in your country knows it was him, and neither do the citizens of London. The main motivation was to avoid aggravated relations between our two nations at that time, I understand? Correct. However, it had been noted that there were some supporters of the professor's apparent cause. What? Supporters of a mass murderer? The majority of the man's victims were a blight on the aristocracy of the day. Somewhat ironically, their deaths actually benefited society as a whole. Or so a few fair thinkers in London believed anyway. Right, I see, but it was still murder, wasn't it? It seems very similar, doesn't it, to the idea of the report of the Reaper of the Bailey. Okay. Am I missing something, guys? 8 days. I might need some assistance, guys. What do I do now? I've talked to everyone. Captain Chips, do you have the guide open? Did I miss a thing? Mask. Maybe that. The mask Kazuma wore when he was assigned to Lord Van Zieks as his apprentice. His apprentice? When he cast it aside after the trial the other day, I just sort of picked it up. We ought to give it back to him, I suppose. But he had his memory back now, doesn't he? And I can't help feeling he might turn around and tell me coldly to wear it myself. But, isn't he your best friend? That wasn't it. Newspaper? Oh. Thank you. This looks like last week's edition. What's that article circled in red ink there? It's an advertisement column. It says, "To the Red-Headed League." The Red-Headed League? What's that? I don't know. I've never heard of it before, but... There's something on my face. Clearly this has something to do with that lively hair. Okay. Now... No. Take that. It looks as though someone circled an advertisement in the paper, Mr. Sholmes. To the Red-Headed League? Does that strike you in some way? I was thinking that just maybe it might be related to your bright red hair. So, at last you've learned to apply my methods, Mr. Naruhodo. Sorry. In the first instance, and quite dispensable observation. Believe me, I could have seen that hair with my eyes shut. So then, allow me to regale you with the details of my latest exploits. Regale or boast? Red-Headed League. Love it. So what is the Red-Headed League, and which seems to be the subject of the advertisement you've circled? You noticed it in the paper, then? That, my dear fellow, was going to be the source of this month's rent payment. It was? How? According to the advertisement, the Red-Headed League is a distinguished institution of fellows of unspecified governance. In fact, the only conditions for becoming a member is having red hair. That doesn't entirely surprise me. But listen to what the lucky redheads receive once they join. An unconditional salary of £4 a week. That's a good case. Good case. Oh my, £4 a week? But why? Why are they paying people for? That I don't know. No details are given in the advertisement. But surely every red-headed person in the country would be flocking to join in that case. You're right, Susie. There's no time to lose. I'll put in my application at once. So will I. Just on the off chance. That might be stretching a point, I think. The trouble is, they have a fixed number of members, you see? Oh, I see. So once a certain number of people have joined, no one else can. But as luck would have it, one member recently passed away. It wasn't particularly lucky for the redhead in question, I feel, Mr. Sholmes. So you decided to try to join in his place? Correct. I mean, look at me. Have you ever seen such a red-headed fellow? No. It's a short story from the Adventures of Sherlock Holmes. Oh, did not know. Did not knows. So why? Why did it have to go so wrong? What on earth happened? A blunder, Mr. Naruhodo, though it pains me to admit it. What? What did you actually do to your hair, Mr. Sholmes? I'm glad you asked, Miss Susato. What you see atop my head is neither dyed nor a hairpiece. I changed the color of my hair overnight. By the wonders of chemistry. Chemistry? I was conducting some research into a method of rejuvenating spent tea leaves, and in the course of my work I stumbled upon a potion that, when taken, turns one's hair a flame-like red. Would you like to try it? It will make every hair on your body perfectly crimson. I think I'll pass. But Mr. Sholmes, is it quite safe to drink? Surely it's bad for you, isn't it? Amateurs are always hampered by such fears. Oh, I should never have doubted you, Mr. Sholmes, you mean to say? But of course. To earn £4 per week, one must be prepared to turn a blind eye to a little danger. That degree of red signals more than just a little danger, surely. So anyway, Hurley left full of confidence yesterday with his new red hair. For the park on Lime Street where the Red-Headed League were interviewing prospective new members. So what went wrong? The whole park was choked with red-headed folk, like a coaster's orange barrow. I queued for 8 hours solid before at last I reached the front, but when the panel of interviewers saw me, they immediately said, "Ah, Mr. Herlock Sholmes, are you in disguise to conduct an investigation?" Well. So naturally, I had no choice but to reply, "Shh, don't give me away." After which I could do little else but turn and leave. Then this morning when I looked in the mirror, irritation stirred within me. So I turned that pair into the police. Oh dear, what a disaster. For Hurley and those two redheads. Okay. Ding-a-ling-a-ling. Aha! Here is my guest now, my latest client, with money to spend. Ooh, I do hope it's an exciting case, Hurley! Remember, Iris, we are at present gripped by the greatest problem known to man. I must be willing to accept any case, no matter how unstimulating, save locating a runaway, of course. Don't spare anyone's feelings, will you? Oh dear, I'm afraid that Hurley can lack a little tact, especially just before the rent is due. Thwack. Mr. Sholmes, Mr. Herlock Sholmes, please, oh please. Please find my husband, he's run away. To upset me? I beg your pardon? She looks familiar too, by the way. He would have been accepted, he wouldn't have been accepted. I know, he's a fake redhead. Was she a juror in the last case, or am I going insane? I beg your pardon? Never mind, a personal matter. My apologies. What exactly are you trying to say, Mr. Naruhodo? I didn't say a word. Come, my dear madam, be seated. Iris, some tea, if you please. Of course! What's the matter, Miss Susato? Juror 2. Yeah, so she's here now. Oh, it's just that gentlewoman. I feel sure I've seen her somewhere before. Very recently. Yes, now you come to mention it. Evie is her name. As I explained earlier, my name is Evie Vigil. Evie Vigil. What's the pun there, guys? Anyone see it? Be visual. I implore you to take the key, sir. Money is no object. Simply name your figure. Money and wealth are of little consequence to me, madam. Being offered a case to solve is a reward enough. Oh, Mr. Sholmes, you are the picture of benevolence. I will of course make a mental note of your offer, however, for contingent reasons. I trust you will remember your words also. If I might inquire, sir. This gentleman and lady would be? Oh, me? What I am about to tell you, I should like to communicate in the strictest confidence. You understand? Ah, these are my friends. I assure you, you may say before this pair anything which you may say to me. Ah, I see. I can vouch for the gentleman personally, after all. He's hard of hearing. Why did I ever get my hopes up? Alright. How is he going to pay rent if he doesn't accept money? Good question. What do you think, Sholmes, how are you gonna pay the rent, eh? Forgive me for asking, Mrs. Vigil, but have we met somewhere before? Quite recently, perhaps? Oh my! Pshaw, my dear fellow, what is your intention? Clearly you have no ability to differentiate the facial features of an English. If you wish to invite the lady to tea, you must do so in a more gentlemanly fashion. Is it possible that you're the nice young lawyer from the trial I attended last week? Ah, I knew I recognized her. To have a man's fate in the palm of one's hand. Oh gosh, oh golly, it sends shivers down my spine. I didn't quite recognize her because she's acting so different now. It must be very difficult for you as a lawyer, being hard of hearing, I mean. Pardon? Oh dear, I'm so sorry. Don't worry if you can't hear. It was frippery. Frippery, really. Nothing more. Now look what you started, Mr. Sholmes. Thank you very much. I believe it would be prudent for you to sit quietly in the corner. Yes. Mr. Tell us about your husband, madam. Mr. Vigil, my delay Vigil, is 40 years of age. I have a photograph here. Okay, have we seen this guy before? Am I losing my mind? I feel like I've seen everyone now. An entirely unremarkable gentleman, by appearance at least. How long have you been married? It will be 15 years this year. We have a cordial relationship, and my husband's income is more than adequate, so we live quite comfortably. Daily? Daily. So, daily Vigil. Isn't that I feel like I've heard that as a phrase at some point. Daily Vigil? We live quite comfortably, as it would appear. I need only look at you to know these things. Oh gosh! Your dress is the latest style, and your hat clearly regularly groomed, and your eyes are animated. Daily and evening vigil. Oh. What's a vigil, by the way? I need to know what the head is, so I would understand the pun. In short, you have no inkling as to why your husband might have disappeared, correct? That's right. He's a kind man with a strong sense of loyalty, and he rather dotes on me. A vigil, it means to keep watch. Okay. Cool. Which would point to the possibility that he has become embroiled in some incident or another. Oh, that isn't exactly what I fear must have happened. Mr. Sholmes, I'm quite beside myself. My husband's employment is somewhat unusual, you see. What if he's incurred some miscreant's ill will? What exactly is your husband's line of work? He's a warder at the prison. A guard? That is somewhat unusual. Prison. So, your husband is a prison warder. That's right, yes. Well, in actual fact, He's the chief warder. Indeed, I see. Well, chief prison warder certainly qualifies as something of a specialist occupation. Yes, it does indeed. My poor husband must prepare those dreadful punishments and see that they're carried out.
Dreadful punishments? Does she mean capital punishments?
And at such times he must occasionally spend a night or two in the prison dormitory. But for that extra responsibility, he is remunerated more handsomely than any other wardens. Of course, we make no mention of my husband's work to the neighbors.
Yes.
I believe your prudence is justified. Tell me, at what prison is your husband engaged? Barclay Prison, Mr. Sholmes. Really? Barclay? Oh, a fine establishment. If I'm not mistaken, there is a large cemetery just behind it. Yes, that's correct. Lowgate Cemetery.
No. Lowgate Cemetery? The very place we were discussing in court? That's unbelievable.
Unbelievable, my dear fellow, and yet undeniable. Sorry, Mr. Sholmes, I'm afraid you've lost me. Ah, pay no heed, madam, pay no heed. A private matter.
This can't really be a coincidence, can it? No, it's not.
So to the matter of your husband's disappearance, when did you realize he was missing? Please try not to laugh. It was yesterday. I'm sorry, yesterday. That really is recent, laughably so. The truth is, my husband does at times have occasion to spend the night away for his work. It's not at all out of the ordinary for him to not return home at night, but this is different. For him to not make any contact for a whole day, that has certainly never happened before. Oh, my dear Daly, whatever can have happened? My dear Miss Vigil, please calm yourself. Now then, have you contacted the police? Why, naturally, but sadly, they refuse to listen to my pleas as my husband has only been missing for 1 day. I was asked to wait patiently at home. In truth, Mrs. Vigil, I concur with the police. However, let us not be hasty. I see no reason why we should not engage in my deductive powers to track your husband down anyway. Oh, thank you, Mr. Sholmes. And furthermore, let me assure you, a chance to solve the greatest problem known to man for another month has no bearing on my decision. I seek only to put a sweet smile on another Londoner's face. That really is all there is to it. You have my eternal gratitude. I shall pay any sum you care to mention.
You seek only to put this suite's rent in your landlady's purse. That's all there is to it.
Thank you for everything you've shared with us, Mrs. Vigil. I believe I have all the information I need to begin my investigation. Oh, please report to me as soon with good news, sir. Fear not, madam. In a day or two, I shall be contacting you with a heartening report, I'm quite sure. So soon? Oh, how splendid, Mr. Sholmes. Good news should be delivered early, I always say. If you would be so kind as to leave the photograph of your husband in my possession.
Okay.
Thank you. Now, allow me to show you the door. I can't thank you enough, Mr. Sholmes. You've been simply marvelous. Bye. You know, I think it every time, Hurley. But how do you come up with such nonsense? Good news in a day or two? Are you sure? I can't be sure, of course, but then I didn't swear on it. I merely gave the good woman some hope. I hope to be able to give her good news, one might say. After all, the rent must be paid by the end of the day tomorrow. If by that time I'm successfully located, Mr. Vigil, we shall be mutually relieved. Wouldn't you agree, Mr. Naruhodo?
Don't look at me with those pleading eyes.
Well, my dear fellow, did you hear the details of the case? Yes, my hearing is surprisingly good, actually. Excellent. And what did you make of it? Well, I was surprised to learn where her husband worked. At Barclay Prison, I mean. Ah, so you noted that. Of course, especially with the mention of Lowgate Cemetery. Lowgate Cemetery is at the rear of Barclay Prison, so it was renowned among us students at the university for being haunted by the ghosts of condemned convicts. Barclay Prison is where that notorious man was incarcerated, the professor. And now a warder from the prison has mysteriously disappeared, it would seem. I'm looking at the clock, guys, and I think it's time to go. In 2 days, we'll see what the actual case of this game is. Is it a kidnapping? Will it be something else? We'll see. Woo! That's what I say. First things first, though, guys. I'ma do something real quick. Just, let me do a ting real quick, if that's okay. Herlock Sholmes Japanese Jumble Mix. It was fun, but I like this outfit a little bit more. I think I like this, though. And I will confess I kind of like this outfit, too. I'm gonna leave these two on, but I'm gonna leave this off. Alright, guys. Thanks for watching. I'll see all of you later. More Lunar tomorrow, as well as the ending of my morning stream game. So yeah, take care, guys. Thanks again for the help, everyone, and popping on in. Y'all be well, Hedgewolf and Astro Dude and Blue Thunder and Captain Chips and anyone else who's here. Be well, be awesome. I love you all, and I'll see you all tomorrow. Bye!